Ellie, come here. Why do you always want to go out when we're recording? What? Why? Why is it always when we're recording? Huh? Why? Why is it every time I'm going live, you're like, you know what? Nah, I want to go out. I want to hang out. Today, on this beautiful day, is your host, Easy Geeky. I forgot my honorific name. The reader who stalls for eternity. The tamer of beasts and dogs. The one who reads. Lord of the Mysteries. Is here today to continue reading Volume 5 as my beautiful puppy staring into my eyes. Hey, go to bed. Today, we're reading Volume 5, Lord of Mysteries. Today's goal is to read and put this beautiful dog to sleep. That is the goal for today. We're going to read and put this little puppy to sleep. Ellie, you need to remember, you need to just sleep, chill, and hang out. Oh my god. All right. Are you guys ready? Chapter 900. As we drag our interest a little bit more as I pet my dog. We are reading 950 to 999 today. Will we get to 999? Only one way to find out. So if you like what you are going to see, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this beautiful, unscuffed read-through of Lord of the Mysteries. Now, let me let my dog out. One sec. I think she wants to go out now. Well, actually, no. Hi, you want to roll over? Oh, you just want little tummy rubs? Okay. I love you too, Ellie. All right, hold up. One sec. Chapter 950, Lord of the Mysteries. As I forget to do my timestamps, we are 1 minute, 50 seconds. Beautiful. 950, and instead of the title, I literally put the YouTube chat. Chapter 950 is called Keeping Secrets. Emlyn fell silent for 2 seconds as he lowered his chin and asked, "Who is it?" To him, angels were naturally worthy of respect, but those who could truly make him bow his head were important figures addressed as he by every sanguine. They had witnessed and experienced the Sanguine's long history, the source and pride. I'm not sure, but in short, I'll nullify you when the time comes. Cosme Nordira shook his head. The person is coming because the ancestor revelation. There are subsequent instructions. Why does the ancestor directly give me a revelation? This will be better concealed. Yo, what's up? How's it going, Mike? This will be better concealed. I'm her chosen one. This is to avoid agitating Mr. Fool. Questions flashed past Emlyn's mind as he answered them himself. He didn't speak further as he wore his top hat and left Odora's villa. When he arrived at the door, he looked at the clouds that could hardly block out the sun. Emlyn curled his lips in disdain, raised his hands to press down on his hat, and ran for a rental carriage at the end of the street. He inwardly mumbled, such as weather really isn't suitable for heading out. The Medici that the world wants isn't world. Wait, what? Why did I say the Medici? I keep thinking of Medici, dude. It's the medicine. I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. The medicine that the world wants isn't rare. It can be concocted in 15 minutes. The ingredients are ordered previously should be in by today. I can carry out the transaction with Miss Magician that I've delayed for days. Backlund Sherwood Borough. Fours placed his glass bottle on an altar and looked at the light blue and golden liquids, feeling the exhilaration from shopping. More enticing than a cocktail. I wonder what it tastes like. Putting some ice in, making it taste better. Seriously, what am I thinking? These are all medicine. Force sputtered? I've never said that word in my life. Sputtered? Force sputtered at herself and hurriedly cleaned up her room. Upon receiving the medicine required for medicine treatment, she finished her preparations for heading to the Bannon Castle and Delaire Forest. She was just waiting for Shield to return. After tidying up certain matters, Force slumped on the sofa and casually picked up a few newspaper copies and began planning her itinerary for the day. Set off at dusk. Dinner will probably be dinner. Wow, I can't read. It's been so weird. Ever since I finished Volume 4, it's like, I don't know, man. I'm too scared to read. It's like I feel someone's just gonna die at any minute. Set off at dusk as I raised the volume. Set off at dusk. Dinner will probably be when we arrived at the town bordering the forest. Amidst her silent mumbling, Force flipped the coin at the new at sea. Suddenly her gaze froze as a familiar name was reflected in her eyes. Grimsborough. This adventurer has appeared at sea again, boarding Black Tulip with a middle-aged man known as the Deaf Consul. He killed Admiral Ludwell, changing the lineup of the 7 Pyro Admirals again. Force subconsciously patted her chest and sure what she was happy about. At that instant, she had a baffling feeling that Grimsborough's experiences were sufficiently legendary. Something could definitely be written in a novel. Unfortunately, he's not someone who's easily to get along with. Otherwise, I can totally be a part-time biographer to write for a book for him. If I were to write that book titled Grimsborough, I'll definitely be targeted by the official Beyonders. Yeah, she probably shouldn't do that. Force thought of amusement before heading to dock. Easy, will you do a discussion with Wiz for Volume 4? He's going to stream in about 30 minutes. Oh, really? I didn't know. Probably not today, then. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot to hit him up. I completely forgot about the Volume 4 discussion. I'm telling you, man, I have not been the same since I finished Volume 4. I'm scared to continue. I don't even like talking about Volume 4. It just gets me emotional, dude. Oh, shit. It just gets me emotional. Now I'm just scared, dude. One sec. Let me turn on my my thing in the back. Now we can resume. Trust, I was the same when I finished Volume 4. I'm telling you, man, it's kind of hard to continue. Where was it? She was thinking of her book biography, right? Gerben Sparrow? Yes. Unfortunately, he's not someone who's easily get along with. Otherwise, I can totally be a part-time biographer to write a book for him. Huh? If I were to write the book titled Gerben Sparrow, I'll definitely be targeted by the official Beyonders. Forrest started amusement before hearing the lock turn. She looked up and saw Shio pushing open the door and entering the living room. You're early. Forrest asked in surprise. Shio ruffled the right side of her blonde hair and said, I met with MI9 again and received the mission. What is it? Forrest sat up, asking out of curiosity. Shio casually threw herself onto the single-seater. Investigate the background of the crazy adventurer Gerben Sparrow. Based on the information provided by MI9, he's a terrifying beyonder, and the name he uses is a fake. I wonder. Even his identification documents are fake. He probably came from Backland. They suspect that Gerben Sparrow has another identity and partners here. Upon hearing the word partners, Forrest couldn't help but twitch the corners of her mouth. She had the urge to tell Shio that MI9's guess was right. Gerben Sparrow's partner was sitting directly opposite of her. Dude, Shio has to join, man. It's no shot she doesn't join. It's been so long. Forrest's been with us for so long that I'm kind of sad Shio hasn't joined yet. She coughed slightly and acted calm while she asked, why are you investigating Gerben Sparrow's background? What did he do this time? Shio glanced at the stack of newspapers besides Forrest. Haven't you read today's news at sea? Gerben Sparrow killed Admiral Hel Ludwell and is now known as the strongest adventurer of the 5 seas. By the way, MI9 also told me that Gerben Sparrow might be very well believed in the secret existence known as the Fool. This is news that came from the many different sources, including the Aurora Order and the Rose School of Thought. I can testify to that. They are right. Forrest forced a smile and said, sounds rather dangerous. Shio nodded. I only plan to gather it until not delving too deep into it. Forrest didn't continue on this topic, and she said, I've already prepared the medicine. Shall we head to Delaware Forest today? Shio had already become a Sequence 7 interrogator a few days ago, and she had mastered a rather useful power, psychic piercing. She has psychic piercing. Okay. All right. Shio stood up, showcasing how she was a woman of action. Let's set off now. Let's wait a little longer. I was thinking of dusk. Forrest replied, feeling a little resistant. She often wished to procrastinate until the last moment. Before long, she pulled out of their rented apartment, but Shio will bring all kinds of items along. They got a rental carriage and headed for the metro. Amidst the sonorous, I've never read that word in my life. Amidst the sonorous whistle of the steam engine, the massive steam locomotive hauled its meandering body and entered the platform. Under the illumination of the wall lamps on the other side, it stopped. Forrest and Shio stood outside the carriage and waited patiently for the passenger to land. Suddenly, they saw the 2 red gloves. She knows at least 3 German accomplices. She knows quite a bit. The owner of the red gloves was a man in his 30s. He wore a white shirt with black... Leonard? The owner of the red gloves was a man in his 30s. Oh, no. He wore a white shirt with a black trench coat. His collar was raised up high, covering his chin and his mouth. Crescent Sesame, right? Covered his mouth. High collar. He had a pair of dark green eyes with golden brown sideburns. He held a silver chest with big enough to put a tiny violin in it. What? He held a silver chest that was big enough to put a tiny violin in it. Forrest and Shio exchanged looks as they lowered their gaze, staring at their toes. As a high-ranking deck on the Church of Evernights, one of the 22 members of the powers of the church, and one of the 3 bigwigs of the Red Gloves, it is Crescent Sesame. Okay, he's back. Now, we haven't seen him in a cool minute. We've been getting a lot of Soist, what's it, Soist, right, from the Red Gloves, but not Crescent Sesame. Crescent Sesame wasn't someone who cared about partying himself around. He enjoyed traveling alone, taking the transportation that commoners took, making him appear like an ordinary clergyman. Okay, what a good, humbled man. After transferring to another line, he eventually arrived in Northborough. He then took a rental carriage and headed straight for St. Samuel Cathedral, where he met Backland's Diocese Archbishop St. Anthony Stevenson. After greeting each other and praising God, Sesamir found a seat and said, I'll be troubling you to provide me with some help for the next couple of weeks. The clean-shaved Archbishop Anthony in his black robe with red accents sat down as well. He deliberated before asking, is this something to do with Insengul? Yes. Sesamir nodded slightly. The Holy See wishes that I inform you that another servant of the goddess, the Martin of the Evernight Cloister, Mam Ariana, will be in Backland not long from now. Evernight Cloister? He was my favorite Red Gloves after Leonard. Yeah, I thought he was going to be more involved. But no, yeah, but he wasn't as involved as I thought he'd be in the last file. You make it sound like he dies. No. No, it's been a while since we've seen them. Who is this? Evernight, Cloister, Ma'am, Ariana? Ariana. Wasn't Ariana a Nighthawk member from Volume 1? We'll be in Backlund not long from now. Wasn't Ariana the secretary for the Nighthawks? This is a new person, right? It's the name that got brought up again, Ariana. It's a new character? Okay. This aesthetic was ranked first among all 13 archbishops, ranked 1. Without waiting for St. Anthony inquiry, he explained in detail, Ma'am Ilya learned plenty of important information from Insanguo's remnant spirits, including his mental problems that 008 used to escape, as well as the details of his cooperation with the royal families of the demoness sect. After machinating the Great Smog of Backlund, Insanguo was betrayed by 008 and had ended up being possessed by the Red Angel evil spirit. He headed for the southern continent alone in an attempt to set up a trap to hunt Ma'am Ilya. An important point to take note of is Insanguo's memories. Oh, the memories that were cut, right? These were the memories that were scrapped when we killed him. This is what we read in the author note. No secretary was Rosanna, bro. You're tweaking. You know what's crazy? And we literally just watched episode 6 when Rosanna. Who was that one then? Damn, I thought that name was brought up before. I thought Ariana wasn't. I could have sworn I thought Ariana was a character in Blackthorn Security Company. Okay, never mind. An important point to take note of is that Insanguo's memories, this was the stuff that was scrapped that we read in author notes. There's a very important underground ruin. It's in the northwestern outskirts of Backlund area just before the Tusik River flows in. My mission is to find that ruin. Oh, where he got involved with Medici. St. Anthony finished listening in silence before asking a thought. Insanguo doesn't know of the exact location. He has never been there before. Sesamir shook his head. Wait, no. And you're mistaking her for the accountant. Thank you, Charizard. I think that's what it was. He had entered... But I was like, how did she become a Red Glove so quickly? What? He had entered, but he was let in there and didn't grasp the required key information. St. Anthony tersely acknowledged before asking, have you figured out which batch of people from the royal family of Insanguo was working with? No, Crescent Sesamir paused and continued. Based on normal logic, regardless of whether the partners donned disguises if they met, there should be the corresponding memory fragments, but inside Insanguo's spirit body, there was no traces of that. It was as though it never existed. Ascetic is Asdic? Ariana isn't a Red Glove, bro. You're skipping understanding again. No. It's just the name. There was I know it's not the same person, but there was another character with the same name, Ariana, that was mentioned in Volume 1. No, that's what I was. That's what I meant. My bad. Sorry, I didn't clear that up. As he have never existed. Perhaps it's an influence of a deed, but no, I get what you mean. The sources of the deed's power is that even a sequence-born demigod can't resist something worth paying attention to. St. Anthony nodded very slightly. The one they just introduced, not a Red Glove. Okay, I was thinking my English good, but I'm not understanding shit. No, you're okay, man. It's all good. It's all good, Ep. St. Anthony nodded very slightly. He thought and said, the telegram didn't include much. I don't know the exact sequence of events. Who exactly killed Insanguo? Crescent Sesamir exhaled slowly and said, a name you might have never believed, Klein Moretti. What? Are we spilling the tea? Crescent Sesamir exhaled slowly and said, a name you might never believe. Klein Moretti. No shot we spilled the tea. Really? Now everybody know. Wow, my voice squeaks. So, wow, that was so bad. What? The Nighthawk who died in the line of duty during Tinkin's incident, Anthony's wrinkles deepened. Yes, that's what Ilya sent back. No one knows how Klein Moretti, who was only a Sequence 4, has resurrected, or how he could kill Insanguo. Oh, shit, dude. Oh, everybody knows who he is now. Oh, shit, everybody knows he's back. All the Red Gloves know he's back now. A demigod wielding 008. Upon saying this, Sesamir's expression turned somewhat odd. The Holy See requests us to strictly keep this intel confidential. Oh, we are not to divulge this to anyone who isn't an archbishop or high-ranking deck council. Okay, only the higher-ups know. Furthermore, that's still bad, though. Furthermore, we are not to pursue Klein Moretti, pretending as though he's still in the grave. Okay, that's good. St. Anthony fell silent for a few seconds as though he recalled something trivial. He nodded and said, perhaps he's a bless of the goddess? Oh, shit. Yeah, he wasn't using his disguise. Thank you, Mick. Oh, shit. You're right. I remember he had freaking Dunn's identity, right, as faceless, but I forgot about the other part. Yeah, he used his real face. Sesamir suddenly looked up at Saint Anthony as though he was a lunatic. His lips quivered, but he ultimately didn't say a word. Yeah, he technically is a blessed. Klein did talk about that. Anthony didn't continue the topic as he looked at the door and said sternly, "Your mission might need plenty of investigations. This requires enough manpower, huh? Soy's team has completed their mission on the southern continent. I'll get them to ring quickly and follow your instructions." All right, Crescent. Sesamir didn't put up any objections. Rest for your remainder of the day before returning to Backlund. Leonard looked up at the team captain, Soyce. Soyce looked pitifully at Leonard, who had been silent for quite some time, and nodded. That's right. After watching the spirit warlock leave his room, Leonard sighed and leaned against the wall. At this moment, dark red light surged out from his eyes, enveloping him completely without any prior warning. Is he being summoned? New member? Dark red light surged out before his eyes, enveloping him completely without any prior... This sounds like a summoning. Okay. He joins? Are you kidding me? Drawing a card. No. King, wait. You're just in time? Oh, shit. Oh, man. It took 951 chapters, dude. He prayed to the full. No shot he prayed to the full. Also, Milosh spoiled this for Wiz. He spoiled this for Wiz. No, man. This has to have been the biggest unkept secret. Like, no one ever spoiled me, you know, knock on wood. Thank the full. But it's like, there's no shot he wouldn't have joined. For the longest time, I thought Crescent Sesamir was the one that joined. Like, okay, we need an insider Nighthawks. Bam, we get Crescent Sesamir. But the more we read, the more Leonard fit the description. Like, this is the perfect insider to the Nighthawks. And now that he has the parasite, well, during volume 1. During volume 1, he prayed when he felt helpless and couldn't see. Remember, Leonard prayed to the full at the end of Instant Wolf fight when he thought he was going to die. But he didn't pray right now. Wait. Why is he being summoned right now? I guess Klein was waiting. I don't remember him praying. Really? Oh, was it when he was getting hit by the lightning? When he was getting hit by the Sea God Scepter attacks, no? Before he fell to the ground? The connection is established? Oh, so the connection has always been established since that happened. Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, chapter 951 is called Drawing a Card. Well, now that Leonard joined, the next obvious person to join is TRISSY. Like, there's no shot TRISSY doesn't join. Like, next it has to be TRISSY. Now we have Klein. Now that we have Leonard on the inside with the Nighthawks, now we need somebody on the inside on the quote-unquote evil side. I mean, yes, they are evil. Now we need, like, for after the Great Smog incident, yes, they're evil. Now we need someone on the inside with the evil faction, which the best candidate is TRISSY. Now that even Klein acknowledged, like, you know what, I'll work with her, even though I don't like her. I can make her do all the most dangerous missions because I don't care about her, but we're going to recruit her. You really want a demoness? Bro, you know it, bro. It ain't going to be that bad when she joins. When she joins, we're going to do so much more progress when it comes to gathering intel. Because then we get approach, I mean, as in terms of intelligence. That's what I mean. In terms of, like, recon, now we're going to be able to get more info on the quote-unquote dark side of the world, you know? Oh, maybe we'll eventually get stuff on the dark side of the universe. Yeah, maybe there's a connection there. No, probably not. But next chapter, 951 is called Drawing a Card. By the time Leonard reacted, he saw numerous towering stone pillars, as well as a towering palace that looked like a giant's residence above the endless great white fog that was being propped up by these stone pillars. His green eyes were a blank look. After a second, Leonard found himself sitting on a high-backed chair being long modeled bronze table at some point in time. I'm sorry, is there, like, what represents the poet? Which card? Oh, he has to be the bard. He has to be the bard. He's probably going to pick... I'm locking it in. He's going to be the bard. There's no shot he doesn't pick the bard. Or what's, like, the most voluptuous card? Easy, did you forget she is closely connected to Cheek, the point of having her last name? Yes. But I feel like since Cheek hasn't been able to pierce into the veil of above the great fog, we'd be good. I feel like this is his test. This is his test. What we know the parasite can't be in contact with Leonard when he's above the great fog, right? So if we're able to ward the parasite, we should be able to ward whatever entity is happening or whatever's going on with TRISSY. Like, everything gets perfectly negated, and now that he's a demigod, I think we'll be chill. Bro, little son is his sequence 9 was barred. You're right. What anything that represents like a flute or writing poetry or literature, that's him. His green eyes wore a blank look after second Leonard. I'm so excited, dude. After a second, Leonard found himself sitting in a high-back chair beside a long model bronze table at some point in time. Beside him and opposite him were high-backed chairs that exuded solemnity. And at the end of the long model chair, where the seat of the honor was, a figure was shrouded in thick gray fog. The figure was leaning in his seat leisurely as though he was overlooking everything. When this figure appeared in Leonard's eyes, he felt as though he was on a liner, seeing a bottomless abyss mentioned again. Okay, maybe we go to the abyss in this volume. Seeing a bottomless abyss whose boundaries were nowhere to be seen. It also felt like he had left the city and was on the outskirts looking up to see lofty mountains and tore through the clouds. Instantly, many thoughts flashed through Leonard's mind. He had a rough guess as to what he was experiencing. As a beyonder of the church, a believer who knew that the deities truly exist, he wasn't able to resist his feelings. He subconsciously wished to leave his seat and prostrate before the existence before him. The might of a deity was boundless. Just as Leonard stood up, he pressed down his invisible force. A slow and calm voice resounded in his ears. There's no need for such trouble. You can call me Mr. Fool. The Fool? Indeed. Leonard's fears of the unknown had settled immediately, although he was still worried about what would happen next. He wasn't that perturbed any longer. He didn't sit uneasily with a dry mouth that parched lips. He got up halfway, pressed his hands to his chest, and bowed. Honorable Mr. Fool, why did you summon me here? As an experienced Nighthawk in a red glove who had participated in major cases, Leonard knew how dangerous it was to establish a connection with a secret existence. He knew that he had slid down the edge of the abyss and had no chance of redemption. At that moment, when he decided to chant the Fool's honorific name, he was able to foresee his tragic end, but for revenge, he had made the choice of regardless. However, everyone had the instinct to survive, recalling how Klein Moretti, who believed in the Fool, was still alive and have even become a demigod. Leonard couldn't help but hold out some hope and expectations. At this moment, he heard the fog enshrouded Fool chuckle. Since you've prayed to me for help, then based on the principle of equal exchange, you definitely need to pay the price. Leonard's body trembled as he bowed his head. What is it that you wish? After a brief pause, the Fool's voice sounded within. Join my crew, right? Have a seat. No, have a seat. Ooh, shit, this is so good. I skipped a line. There's no rush. Perhaps there'd be something that requires you to provide help to certain people. Have a seat. Leonard slowly calmed himself down inside. He looked up and asked, Klein Moretti, has been here like me? The Fool said with a calm tone, in a different manner indeed. Klein didn't enter because he chanted the honorific name. He had been introduced by that deaf consul named Zik Eggers before becoming one of Mr. Fool's faithful. Leonard couldn't help but survey the area, and he discovered that there were a total of 22 high-backed chairs around him and a long bottle table. It corresponds to the 22. You know what? The one thing I'm starting to realize, I don't think we're going to get 22 seats. We're like 900 chapters in, and I realize we're not going to get 22 members. A part of me is kind of sad, but you know what? That's cool. Do you think the Terror Club will discover the truth about the Fool being Klein? I don't know, man. That's the one thing I'm worried. If we I don't know. And how do you think they would react? I've always been under the idea that maybe at the end of the series, Klein reveals it. There are 2 books. Yeah, so there is more content, right? We can have like a whole new Fool, like a whole new 22 members. But I don't know, man. I really thought we were going to have like 12 people. I thought we'd have like at least 10 by like chapter like 900, right? Or at least at the halfway point. But let's keep reading. I lost my place. But it's okay. It corresponds to the 22 Beyonder Pathways. There are also 22 tarot cards. The Fool, just as Leonard came up with theory, he heard Mr. Fool chuckle. Other than you, there are other living beings that had been pulled into from various reasons. They earnestly wish for me to convey a gathering to carry out the exchange of information, transaction of materials, and formulas. They also help each other. This allows them to rapidly advance, eventually becoming high secret Beyonders. This is a little different from the secret organization represented by tarot cards I had imagined. It's rather loosely organized. What motives does Mr. Fool have to agree to such a request? After coming to the ancient palace above the great fog, Leonard felt high-strung, causing his thoughts process to be a little more agile than usual. He came up with a kind of questions. After successfully achieving revenge, he had been filled with low-spirited and empty for a moment, as though he had lost his goal in life. However, he quickly pulled himself up together. This is because Dally Zev told him that he wasn't strong enough to reduce the number of casualties of his companions in the future missions, and so on, and so not like the ability to save them, he needed to reach sequence 4 at the very least. He needed to become a demigod. Therefore, the Fool words had stirred his heart. He felt that this was an opportunity. Meanwhile, he also believed that by joining the gathering, he could deeply understand the situation of the secret organization. It helped in maximally averting the danger that resulted from establishing contact with the Fool. After some deliberation, Leonard asked, Klein Moretti is also a regular member of this gathering. Does he have a seat here? The fool replied without much concern, yes. Leonard fell silent for a second as he asked, Honorable Mr. Fool, can I join this regular gathering? Shrouded in grey fog, the fool said with a smile, sure. But when you return, remember to mention this to Pelezaros about it. Do not attempt to hide it from him. Old man really is an angel. It's no wonder the Lux Siphon charm is so magical. Although Leonard had already expected this, he still couldn't help but be alarmed at receiving confirmation from Mr. Fool. He hesitated for a moment and said, why must I tell Pelazaros? Although he had a good relationship with Pelazaros and had established a certain level of trust, he's still very wary. The reason why he had made the request to join Mr. Fool's secret gathering was to balance the latent danger of the ancient parasite. He then heard Mr. Fool reply with a smile, many a time, striking fear is a lot more useful than conflict. Striking fear is a lot more useful than conflict, that's right. Forcefully creating a balance might agitate old man. Regardless, the final battlefield will not be in my body, and it will be extremely disadvantageous to me. By striking fear into him, I can get him to recognize the situation. Even if he has ill intent, he will think of another solution and take another path. Leonard bowed his head in enlightenment. Honorable Mr. Fool, I have no more questions. At the end of the long bronze table, the fool conjured a deck of tarot cards and lifted his hand and pointed at them. They have each selected a tarot card to represent their code name. You can also choose one. Oh shit, dude. The deck has the cards of their respective owners taken already. They do not use tarot cards. Wait, they do use tarot cards as their code names. Leonard exhaled and couldn't help but ask again. Which card is Klein ready? The world. Dang. He said, what about Klein? He is the world. Oh shit, dude. The fool said casually, it's him and also not him. Fuck does that mean? The world. The fool said casually, it's him and also not him. What does that mean? Leonardo didn't dare ask further. He extended his right hand and pulled out a card from the deck of the tarot cards. Flipping it over, he saw a goddess pouring holy water with stars littering the background. Bromance? Definitely bromance. He picked the star. Definitely. Of course he's the star. Oh, come on. I should have saw that coming from a mile away. Actually, I don't know my tarot cards. Okay. We will guess Trissy's tarot card because I know she's joining. She has to join, dude. But we will guess her card. She'll be like whatever closely represents the demoness. All right, so Leonard is the start card. This didn't match Leonard's taste, but since he had already completed the ritual under Mr. Fool's watch, he could only accept it. Return. The gathering happens every Mondays at 3 in the afternoon. Backland time, shrouded in the gray fog, the fool raised his hands and made Leonard, who was rushing to bow, vanish from the ancient palace. The fool Klein chuckled as he flipped all the tarot cards. All of them had the same picture with the same sky filled stars. All of them were the star cards. After laughing for a while, Klein cast his gaze to the crimson star that represented Leonard. While attempting to pull the pot above the gray fog, he had made some careful observation and had discovered that there was a blob of light hiding in Mitchell's body. It seemed to be made of countless ringworms hiding deep inside his body. Inside his soul body? Easy, Mr. Dord toward Rizzo, Evernight represents the star and not the moon. Oh, that makes sense. Evernight, he's a Nighthawk member, Red Glove member. It correlates. Okay, stars. Okay, stars. Also, it's nighttime, sleepless pathway. Okay. Ooh, that's deep. Me just thinking that him trying to be a poet and him trying to be the main character, I'm like, oh, he's the star, clearly. I didn't think that deeply about it. I was very superficial. Because he likes to be the main character. Did you gloss over Klein's prank? No. What the hell was his prank? What was the prank? All of them were the star cards. Oh! The full Klein chuckled as he flipped all the tarot cards. All of them had the same picture with the same sky-filled stars. All of them were the star card. He wanted him to be the star. After laughing for a while, Klein cast his gaze to the crimson star that represented Leonard. While attempting to pull the pot above the gray fog. Bruh, you are not reading? No, yeah. I just read this right now. Wait, hold up. I just read chat after reading that. So he wanted him to be the star card. Okay, after laughing for a while, Klein cast his gaze to the crimson star that represented Leonard. While attempting to pull the pot above the gray fog, he had made some careful observation and had discovered that there was a blob of light hiding in Leonard Mitchell's body. It seemed to be made of countless ringed worms hiding deep inside his body. This made Klein confirm that Pelazaros had only parasitized Leonard at a preliminary stage. He didn't control Leonard's body of heart and mind, astral projection, ether body, and physical body. After advancing into becoming a demigod, Klein had gained a deeper control over the mysterious space above the gray fog, allowing him to pull in anyone he wanted. Without targeting the soul, he could make a selection. Therefore, Klein decided to not touch Leonard's soul body and only pull his astral projection above the gray fog. This avoided agitating Pelazaros or end up bringing him into the mysterious space. Okay, so we keep him separated. Of course, it was almost certain the sequence 1 angel of the Marauder pathway would notice, so he would notice. Not you're reading words, not the story. You're hearing but not listening. Wait, what part? Wait, what was the joke? No, I'm getting everything so far. I just missed a joke. Translating the world temple to the corresponding sounds with 95% accuracy rate, but not absorbing the knowledge. Wait, what part did I miss? What was the joke then? And the ability to enter the dreams of the other stem from the astral projection of beyonders of the Everdyne pathway, so it didn't affect Leonard's ability to do what he was good at in the mysterious space. Let's hope that he can escape from Palazaros parasitizing bit by bit. Klein suddenly sighed. The reason why he made Leonard join the Terry Club was because he wished to help this former teammate grow stronger, allowing him to escape the claws of Palazaros. If the Martyr Pathway Angel didn't have any ill intent, he could get Leonard to help him hiding from Amon and aid him his recovery. Okay. This would speed up his switching of parasitic targets. Okay, so at the end it will help him. You help him, but we help Leonard. Retracting in his gaze, Klein thought for a moment. He threw the Hunter Pathway Sequence 6 Conspire potion formula to the point of the light representing Danitz. He then instructed him to leave the southern continent and return to the Golden Dream. Black hunting spiders composite eye, sphinx brains, sphinx, right? I read that right? Sphinx brains. Danitz recalled the content he had just seen in the days as he stood up in the light. He planned to merely bid farewell to Anderson and leave the dangerous southern continent. After coming to the door of the Fox Sea's strongest hunter, he knocked on the wooden door only to see it open. Anderson had unlocked the door. Danitz was puzzled as he cast his gaze inside and saw Anderson holding a knife and sliding it against his abdomen. What? What is he doing? Next chapter. What a Small World. Chapter 952. All right, chapter 952 is called What a Small World. That's a pretty good song, right? There's a song called Small World, or there's a movie. Dennis jumped in front as he blurted out, "Sorry, I didn't see anything." Before he could finish the sentence, he had already pulled the door handle towards him. Bang. The door closed, emitting... Did I pause? No. The door closed, emitting a sound that echoed throughout the corridor. At this point, Dennis finally came to realization. What was I doing just now? What is Anderson doing? He instantly removed the black boxing glove and he thought bitterly with a frown. Finally, he decided to return to his room, pack his luggage, and leave. As for what Anderson was trying to do, he felt that something was amiss despite his curiosity. He has no plans on getting himself involved in it, but least he fell into a trap. Captain said that I should maintain fear and respect towards the unknown, so I should distance myself from this. Just as Dennis turned around, he suddenly heard the door unlock before it opened. Anderson, whose button on the lower part of his shirt weren't buttoned out, walked up with a dull pitch black knife. He looked at Dennis with a mixed expression. "Aren't you going to try to stop me?" Dennis actually noticed a chance to mock him as he That's your freedom. Such a tricky word to pronounce. That's your freedom. If you didn't leave a will, I'll be rich. Anderson rubbed his cheeks. Aren't you curious about what I encountered? The Nitz glanced at him subconsciously. I keep feeling as though you're up to something. Anderson roared with laughter. Well, I had been captured some time ago, and I was soaked in strange blood with all kinds of ingredients. I was... Wait, what? He was covered in blood? Guess that makes sense. Red Priest. Okay. No, wait, no. I'm so dumb. No, wait, maybe they're saying the Nitz knows better after already being enthralled with Gurman Sparrow. He's like, you know what? I don't want to go through this again. I'll just leave him be. We already know that since the ending of Volume 4, right before the Inns fight, this was to create the effect of having... Wait. Well, it's like I have not gone back and read Volume 4. It's like, it's been so hard to go back and read this, man. We know this already. Well, I had been captured some time ago and was soaked in strange blood with all kinds of... I forgot this part. His whole body was covered in blood? That I don't remember. His whole body was covered in strange blood with all kinds of ingredients. I was corroded in it for an extended period of time until a strange chrysalis was formed inside my body. This was to create the effect of having a certain level of attraction towards high sequence beyonders of the Hunter Pathway. As he spoke, he pointed at his abdomen. The Nitz was taken aback. I've never really heard of something like that. If you were another sex, I might have imagined that you're pregnant. I don't even want to hear that word anymore. Pregnant and Lord of the Mysteries just don't mix, dude. He paused for a moment before asking. The strange fellow in the revival square was attracted by the baby. No chrysalises in your stomach. Anderson nodded as the Nitz gestured with his hand. Oh, is he trying to cut out everything that's left? That's what he's doing then. You're trying to cut open your abdomen to... Oh, you were trying to cut open your abdomen to extract the chrysalises. Okay. Yes. Yeah, okay, so he's trying to take out if there's anything left. PTZ and Ultimate as pregnant woman, it's scary, man. And the next time I see a pregnant woman in public, I'm like, oh no. Anderson replied, honestly, yes, I'm worried about how it would affect me. Or if it would continue attracting demigods, I have to make every second count to remove this latent problem. Then it's done before asking puzzlement, then why aren't you making the attempt? You forgot to set up a will and you want me to be your witness? Anderson's facial muscles twitched as he chuckled. Not bad. Your provoker potion should almost be digested. He then sighed. After some careful analysis, I believe that no direct way to extract it, otherwise there would be soaked meat and blood and allow the ingredients to seep into me. They could have just opened up my stomach and placed the chrysalises inside before sewing me up. Without waiting for Dennis replied, he said and thought, don't you have the method to contact garments, bro? He's been through so much and knows so much. I would like to consult him on how to resolve this problem. In recent months, the Nitz was extremely afraid of the people raising the matter about him knowing Gerbentsboro, so he subconsciously retorted, no, I haven't seen him since I left the Golden Dream. Anderson curled the corner of his lips and said, when you were running to Gerbentsboro, I was beside him and had met his messenger. The Nitz expressed immediately froze. He forced a smile after a few seconds. Why don't you directly summon his messenger? Anderson raised his hand again and touched his throat, chuckling, I don't know the ritual for summoning his messenger. He's like, bullshit. The first thing I hear when I click on stream is PTSD about pregnant woman. What's up, love? The Nitz will still expect that Anderson was up to something and was unwilling to confirm that he had been repeatedly communicating with Gerbentsboro. He then suggested, actually, you can always seek the help of our captain in such matters. She's very knowledgeable and good at research. She knows many secret techniques and can also seek the Church of God of Knowledge and Wisdom for help. She should be able to give you the solution of resolving the matter of the chrysalises in your stomach. If you're embarrassed, I can talk to her for you. Just as he said that, he saw Anderson's face beam. He quickly replied with a rushed tone. All right, let's do it. I've already packed up my luggage. When shall we set off? The Nitz fell into a daze for a few seconds, feeling that he had been tricked by Anderson. He returned to the room, drank his remaining beer, and threw all the miscellaneous items into his luggage bag, leaving behind a dried leaf of golden patterns. A dried leaf? With golden patterns. This was the token the Nitz previously used to establish contact with Northern States' dominant leader, General May Sanchez. Following Gerbentsboro's instructions, he left the leaf inside and allowed the person in charge to follow up. Okay. In a room the Nitz checked out, a candle was suddenly lit into 2 meters tall that flamed burgundy. Amidst the flames, a figure walked out. He was wearing a silk top hat, black formal suit, and had white sideburns. Dwayne Dantes. He looked outside with his deep blue eyes and mature demeanor. He was none other than Klein as Dwayne Dantes. After picking up the leaf with the golden patterns, Klein left the hotel, circling around the sealed-off Revival Square, and came to Kokawa Core Region, White Feathered Square. May Sanchez's residence was there, located beside a deaf cathedral that descended downwards. You can tell Cuttlefish loves Hunter Pathway Beyonders. He's kind of glazing him up. I'm excited to see where Medici goes and the remainder of the series. As he standard Loaness gentleman, the Nitz looked out of place when he walked through the city. Here, the foreigners were a minority, were the most foreigners seen around a few major embassies located around Rejoice Square. The other places were filled with mostly locals from Balam. Their skin was slightly brown and they had curly black hair. Their facial features were soft, and in their eyes of the most of the northern continent, people of the same sex all looked the same, aside from the differences in height and weight. These locals, be it male or female, enjoyed rolling dried tobacco leaves and Balam cigarettes. Along the way, Klein would see residents spewing out smoke alongside of the road from time to time. In addition, many of them hung a fruit known as dalawa by their waists. This fruit was the size of 2 fists with thick skin. After digging open a tiny hole and eating the flesh and blood, one could use it to store water, alcohol, and other beverages. Based on Klein's observations, the mostly dark and orange-yellow gauder, it was sour with a hint of sweetness. Good at quenching thirst and relieving heat, it was also great at keeping people awake. I didn't have a chance to try it before. Klein mumbled as he found the guard manning the general residence and sought to meet a man named Haggis. Due to this, appearances as a lowest person and gentleman, the guard didn't deny his request or make it difficult for him. He got a person to head in to get a man in his 30s. The man's facial features and skins were that of the standard Balam natives. However, his curly black hair had been pulled straight and neatly combed back, as though he was trying to mimic members of the high society in various countries of the northern continent. He wore a white shirt and black vest matched with a very formal bow tie. Upon seeing Dwayne Johnson, he said to the standard Loaness, "Good afternoon, I'm Haggis. Nice to meet you." His accent was a little odd, different from any Borough in Loan. Klein had lived in high society for quite a period of time, so he wasn't too surprised. He said with a smile, "Good afternoon, I'm Dwayne Dantes. I never expected me a gentleman who's so good at using the accent of the Loaness nobles." Haggis couldn't help but smile. Many children of the noble birth from Loan have have one come to the east and west Balam to seek out opportunities. I was fortunate to learn from them. Okay, so you learn from all the travelers. Oh, ooh, travelers, do you understand that volume theater reference? Okay. Made myself laugh. I'm kidding. Oh, I might know some of them. Klein wasn't in a rush to talk business as he began making small talk with Haggis like a gentleman. Haggis smiled. My friend included Colonel Alfred Hall, the second son of an Earl. Hall. Klein let out a soft chuckle. I once met Earl Hall at a charity party. He's a true noble. What a small world. Title drop. Haggis nodded in agreement. Perhaps this is an agreement of fate. Okay. Agreement of fate. I feel like the ending is going to be an agreement of fate. I can probably suspect that much. Unfortunately, Alfred was transferred to East Balam last year. He didn't continue as he immediately invited Dwayne Taunton into the general residence. When passing through the side door, Klein suddenly looked up, glancing on the embedded stained glass above. The glass shimmered like a rainbow under the illumination of the sunlight as though gazes were swept past. All right, next chapter, 955. Chapter 950T. The hell? Why am I all up on T today? Chapter 953 is called Prophecy. Klein retracted his gaze in a natural manner, held the gold inlet cane, and followed closely behind Haggis before entering the general residence. The architecture style was completely unlike those found in the southern continent. It didn't make any use of light manipulation to make the rooms appear dark and gloomy, nor did the boldly use human bones as accessories to produce a strong visual impact. Instead, it was more in the style of the northern continent. Furthermore, there was an undeniable hint of the Inta's influence. Every column was covered in segmented gold foil. The use of colors in the murals were warm, and there were sculptures embedded with gold. A beautiful spiral staircase descended from above, connecting all 4 stories before entering the middle of the huge hall where it faced the entrance. It was extremely grand. It was extremely grand. I have to say that the countries led by the Church of the Eternal Blazing Sun are really at the forefront when it comes to the gold artwork. It doesn't have the feeling of the gaudy Novia Ricci. Klein swept his gaze to the palm-sized golden angels that extended out from the staircase, railing at the mid-sections of the columns, holding back his urge to caress them. I keep hearing Ellie bark. I will give her another minute or two, and if not, I'll probably go check on her. Looking at the guard standing by the 2 sides, he casually found a topic as he said to Haggis, Colonel Alfred Hall seems to have made up some significant contributions in West Balam. Haggis nodded and used a lowness noble accent to say he's a determined and brave man. He once led a special forces team. What? He once led a special forces team of more than 30 men to raid an Inta's battalion with more than 1,000 people. Really? Alfred Hall did that, completely crippling them. I heard that he had also made significant contributions in East Balam, therefore he became a colonel before the age of 30. Sounds impressive. Perhaps Miss Justice's brother has already become a Beyonder with quite a significantly high sequence. Huh? In every aristocratic family, every generation should have some members taking the Beyonder path. Huh? If Miss Alfred finally reaches his goal of becoming a Beyonder with relatively high sequence and gain the rank of a brigadier, general, or major general through hardships, I wonder how sad he would be when he returns to Backland to realize that he's no match for his sister's dog. Yeah, he's from the military. Having drank his medicine before heading out today, Klein used the active lampooning to adjust his mental state. That'd be so funny. Like, what? Why is this dog? Who is this dog? Why is this dog a Beyonder? He didn't ask further about Alfred as he asked with a curious tone. I realized that there are some differences in traditions of the East and West Balam. Here in my house, here and many houses, there are people with human bone decorations, but it's not present in East Balam, okay? I've been here several times, but I've never been able to bring myself to get the answer to this question. Haggis stopped and pointed to the exaggerated spiral staircase. Mr. Dennis, the general, will be here in a few minutes. After informing him of this, he chuckled. It's actually not common to see human bones traditions. Only fiefs that came under the royal family of the Balam Empire still have this tradition. To us, the death of the family members doesn't mean that our relationship has come to an end. After the burial, we will keep a piece of their bones and place it home as a decoration, as a way to indicate that the deceased continue being with the living. Wow. Oh, wow. As for which bone to choose, it will be decided by the interning priest through a ritual. The best and most symbolic part is the skull. Some families would even make the skull into a vessel for drinking alcohol, using it only when entering the most honored guests. Mr. Denetz, if you close a deal this time, I will invite you to my house. I wish to offer finesse wine and my grandfather's skull to show you my respect. Klein's expression nearly fell apart. He felt that he was incapable of accepting the local customs in this aspect. He laughed and was just about to functionally when he saw a figure slowly walking down the golden railings of the staircase. Oh, the brother. The person didn't wear a hat. He was wearing a cut black military attire with shimmering golden buttons. The sash he wore was red like blood. He was light brown skinned and a rather soft facial outline. His facial features looked scrunched up in the middle of his head, making his face appear abnormally big. Klein, who had obtained the relevant information from various channels, instantly recognized that the man to be the dominant ruler of the West Balance northern state. It was May Sanchez, who declared himself as general. On the surface, he wavered between the faction of Lowen and his Potter face sick and the resistance maintaining a balance. Okay, he's holding a peace. But secretly, he had received the support of the numinous Episcopate's royal family faction. Meanwhile, Klein suspected that this native general had established a solid working relationship with the Church of the God of Knowledge and Wisdom. As for the May Sanchez's strength via the Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina or Admiral of Stars Catlia, he was noted to be a sequence 5, but the two ladies he's nothing compared to Klein. He's a demigod, bro. But the two ladies didn't mention which pathway he was from. As the powers this local general exhibition were mostly related to the spirits, he carried a mystical item from the death pathway. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Klein took off his hat, pressed down his hand to his chest, and bowed. At this moment, he sensed the gazes locking onto him for some unknown location. They were like lights that flashed across the golden angel figures, the sunlight reflected from the stained glasses of the lustrous glow from the smooth marble. Hello there, Mr. Denitz. May Sanchez replied in Dutanese. Having grasped Dutanese through his marionette, Klein naturally was able to understand him. However, in the southern continent, the longer he stayed in East and West Ballam, the more he felt similarities between Dutanese and ancient Fasig. World building go crazy? So there's a connection? He felt similarities between Dutanese and ancient Fasig. What is the deeper meaning behind that? I don't know. You keep saying Mr. Am I saying Mr. Dantes? It's always, you know what? Text-to-speech right here. Here we go.
Hello there, Mr. Dantes.
Dantes. Mr. Dantes. Sorry. It's hard for me to say Dantes instead of Dantes. Dantes. Although these two languages obviously follow different systems, making it much more difficult if you were truly to study Dutanese, certain details were shockingly similar, as it was as though they shared a common heritage. Klein could only be certain that the heritage wasn't Jotun. Dantes is fine, no? Text-to-speech is wrong. Pretending, I'll say Dantes if that helps. Pretending as though instead of Dantes. Instead of Dantes. Dantes is wrong. I'm feeling it's Dantes. Pretending as though he hadn't noticed anything, he naturally chatted with May Sanchez until the other party raised the topic of arms deal. How many goods do you have in total? Klein laughed and replied, it wouldn't be a problem equipping 3,000 to 4,000 people. In addition, there would be a few cannons. May Sanchez felt silent as he said, name your price. Klein pretended 15,000, 20,000. Please, you were saying it fine? Dantes. Okay, I was saying it right. Okay. Klein laughed and replied, it wouldn't be a problem if equipping 3,000 to 4,000 people. In addition, there would be a few cannons. May Sanchez fell silent for a few seconds. Name your price. 15 to 20. Oh, fuck, I just read it. No shot is 50,000. Klein pretended to deliberate as he said, if you wish for me to send the goods to the northern state, the price would be 50,000 pounds. If you send your troops to retrieve the goods with me and be responsible for the subsequent transportation and safety, it would only cost 40,000 pounds. May Sanchez thought and said, the latter. Take down the payment and go with my men. Once they see the goods and move it onto our carriages, my men will pay the rest. He paused for a moment and then added, however, I do not have much low in gold coins, so you don't have enough foreign reserves. Klein surveyed the area and said with an unconcerned smile, you can directly pay me in gold coins or even gold bars or gold bricks. May Sanchez was rather decisive. He didn't waste any time to nod and say, deal, I'll get Haggis to bring my men the money to you tomorrow. Not bad. I like doing business with people who don't haggle. Klein, he's like, this is a good deal. Klein first heaved a sigh of relief before suspecting price was too low. Too low. Klein first heaved a sigh of relief before suspecting if his price was too low. After Klein left the general's residence, May Sanchez suddenly looked up and said to the person above, Your Excellency, Luca, is this the person you're waiting for? May Sanchez suddenly looked up and said to the person above, Your Excellency, Luca, is this the person you're waiting for? One story above the beautiful staircase, a figure slowly appeared. He was an elder in a white robe with inland breast inlaid brass lines. His hair was completely white, neat and neatly combed. His pair of gray-green eyes were so deep that they appeared bottomless. Luca the goat? He replied with an unhurried tone, "There's no way to be certain, although my prophecy tells me that I'll meet the person who can resolve my future predicament in the next 2 days here. The person was too ordinary. Besides being a beyonder, there's nothing worth taking note of. Of course, I can tell the more profound truth. He might have an existence that's at least not weaker than me behind him." Who the fuck is Luca? Having said that, he slowly walked down, and after a few seconds, "I'll attempt to use a dream to see if I can discover more." Okay, Luca the Go. All right, I'm excited to see more. Let me raise the volume a bit. To see more. "Do I need to prepare a special room for you?" May Sanchez asked reverently. Luca shook his head. "I'll use the activity room here. The best time will be 4 hours later. Don't disturb me before that happens." He then entered the room, sat down, and leaned against the sofa. He then relaxed himself, closed his eyes, and fell silent. Only when it slowly turned dark did the old gentleman fall asleep. In a dream, he found himself standing in the hall of the general residence, standing on the first floor of the beautiful staircase, by the side of May Sanchez and numerous guards. The middle-aged man named Dwayne Dantes was standing opposite him when he suddenly curled his lips into a smile, revealing an exaggerated smile. Flames soared up as the poker card fell from above. Luca's green eyes instantly darkened as Dwayne Dantes' body instantly fell into strange darkness and appeared. Now he's putting some respect on Dwayne. The old white-robed gentleman immediately spread his arms open, revealing a dark vortex at his chest. What the fuck? The old white-robed gentleman immediately spread his arms open, revealing a dark vortex at his chest. The vortex expanded and devoured Dwayne Dantes. Before Luca could confirm the situation, he felt something. He turned to the side and saw that May Sanchez's face squirmed and turning tall before instantly becoming another Dwayne Dantes. Paper figuring? Almost at the same time, Haggis and all the guards presented turned into Dwayne Dantes. All of them were casting their gazes at Luca. Luca was jolted awake and suddenly as they... That's such a weird dream divination. What does that even mean? Luca was jolted awake and under the watch of May Sanchez, who had entered at some point in time. He faltered for 2 seconds, said heavily, "I have to personally meet that gentleman from before and see the demigod before him. Before he finished his sentence, he subconsciously turned his head to look out the window. At this moment, the street lamp lit up. It was dark outside, and the crimson moon's moonlight was strangely tainted with a bloody color. Another blood moon. Okay, so we got to go talk to Force. Thankfully, there's Mr. Fool. I must say that there are way too many blood moons this year. It's only been 2 months since the last time. I didn't even have any time to prepare." Force, who sat up, wiped her cold sweat and muttered silently. She had arrived at town near Delir Forest and had checked into a hotel. She shared a room with Shio and had many preparations to do some investigations of the abandoned castle early tomorrow morning. To Force's surprise, there was a blood moon just as she was preparing to get to rest. At this moment, she seemed to recall something as her body stiffly turned to the side. Shio, who had exhorted her to... Something going on with Shio? Shio had exhorted her to sleep early, had already woken up at some point in time. She was looking at her with her eyes open. Wait, Shio is looking at her with her eyes open. Klein is already a demigod, right? Yeah, he already hit demigod. He's sequence 4. Alright, chapter 954 is called Strange Ancient Castle. Force gaze met Shio in midair as both parties remained silent. After a while, Force chuckled dryly. "Huh, you haven't fallen asleep?" Shio frowned and said, "What happened to you?" "Nothing. Didn't I tell you before? Whenever the full moon happens, I would be in a good state. It's even worse during the blood moon." Force replied as though everything was normal. Shio sized her up and pulled her blanket. "I remember that you brought sleeping pills. There's no need for that. I'm fine now." Seeing that Shio wasn't pressing further, Force secretly heaved a sigh of relief. "Go back to sleep. We still have to head into the forest early tomorrow morning." Shio didn't say another word as she turned around, gripping the blanket, and closed her eyes. Okay, she was worried about her. Before long, her breathing turned heavier and became more drawn out and in uniform. Force started blinking at the ceiling as her thoughts ran wild. At some point in time, she fell asleep as well. The next day at noon, in the core region of the Delir Forest, in front of the collapsed ancient castle covered in green vines, Forrest wiped the perspiration on her forehead and exhaled, "We're finally here." All right, here we go. Shio shot her a glance and said, "The boss at the hotel told me that we only need 2 hours to get here. They had set off before 6 in the morning, but..." I'm going to raise the volume a little bit more. "But they had spent nearly 7 hours to arrive." The corners of Force's lips twitched as she said, "Ideal conditions and reality are different. There weren't any trails for us to take towards the end. We needed to explore and forge a new path ourselves." She took out her triangular blade, nodded, and said, "You shouldn't foresee this from the beginning, but you refused to have a guide and suggested by the hotel's boss. As an astrologer, I don't believe such trivialities will cause any trouble. look, aren't we there now? Besides, this time is perfect. The wraiths and the ghosts are definitely in their weakest state. Having forced a smile, Force held Layman's travels in one hand as she pointed with the other. I didn't notice it before, but the more I think about it, the more puzzled I become. About what? She'll also cast her gaze to the ancient abandoned castle and the white covered She'll also cast her gaze at the ancient abandoned castle that was covered by vines. Force casually found an excuse. Tell me, who would build a castle in the middle of a forest? Furthermore, they didn't open up a trail to it. Before she finished her sentence, she realized that she found the matter a little odd. Just a little bit. She thought and said, perhaps there was a trail, but after the castle was abandoned, whatever traces of it had been wiped out with time. Force stroked the hair by her ear and she looked and she shook her head. Then why would they abandon it? If they had considered the music being a little bit too loud, we're going to lower it. If they had considered safety back when building it, it would be more dangerous building it far from town in an uninhabited castle. If it's just for vacations, there would be with the way nobles do things, they wouldn't abandon it, even if the maintenance and repairs are difficult. She'll blurt it out. Could it be because it's haunted? Or are we going to get a haunted arc with them? I feel like Shio would be more scared than Force. Force stopped for a few seconds. Won't someone who can build such a huge castle hire Beyonders to deal with the ghosts? I suspect that 3 churches in the kingdom governments don't know of this ancient castle. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense that they would leave the Beyonder ingredients inside. That makes sense. Upon seeing that, she raised a possibility: an ancient castle of the Sanguine. Oh. Such extraordinary creatures enjoy living in places with few people. Furthermore, they were usually connected to the dark forest in ancient castles. In addition, information about the ancient castle came from the Sanguine to begin with. It's possible that Shio first agreed before disagreeing. Will the Sanguine be afraid of ghosts? They definitely have the means to deal with the ancient wraiths inside. Makes sense. Don't tell me those Sanguines don't like money and don't care about the search for Beyonder ingredients. Forrest recalled Mr. Fool's behavior and denied her hypothesis. In deliberation, she said, unless there's some problem that's not easy to resolve, that's what made the bigwigs choose to skirt around it. In that case, her operation would become more dangerous than she had anticipated. Shield cheerfully agreed. Let's do some preliminary investigations while the sun is so strong. Alright, Forrest held layman travels and approached the half-collapsed ancient castle one step at a time. The two soon arrived at the entrance, which was 2/3 blocked by rocks. They discovered that beneath the green vines, the stone walls were mottled and heavily weathered, as though it had been in existence for very long periods of time. Shield wasn't in a rush to enter. Calling out Force, they circled around the castle slowly. When they returned to the entrance, she said in puzzlement, this castle style is purely defensive. It doesn't seem to consider the problems needed for living in it. Besides, many of the peculiarities, it's a hard word to say, peculiarities of the buildings are ones I have heard of before. It has probably existed in the late 4th epoch or even earlier. What's there to defend against? Beastmen, Trents, I remember what Trents are after the whole Mother Tree. I never knew what Trents were until now. Trents, they've all gone extinct after the Cataclysm. Huh? Don't tell me that it's a building from the 2nd or 3rd epoch. Forrest casually replied. She observed the terrain and left the entrance with Shio before arriving at a relatively complete wall. She reached out her palm and pressed on it. Although she lacked combat experience, she was rather skilled when it came to the various aspects before a battle. An illusory light appeared in front of her, allowing Force and Shio to instantly enter the abandoned castle. The first thing that they saw was a collapsed staircase and the layers of the remnant concrete from above. There were rays of pure sunlight shining in from above, as well as the masonry and rotten wood. There weren't any animal, bird, feces, or green weeds on the ground. With a whoosh, the wind seeped into their bones, chilling them despite it being noon. Forrest activated her spirit vision and surveyed the area before she failed to see any spirit bodies. However, she noticed that on the right of the remnant collapsed wall, there's a rather intact stone staircase. The staircase was mottled and scuffed as it extended downwards to an unknown location. Shall we head over there to take a look? Forrest shot a glance at Shio and made a suggestion. From her point of view, everything else in this castle could either be taken into a glance or collapsed and stacked together. If they wished to do thorough investigations, it was certain that it would take a rather long amount of time. Therefore, it was better to gain a general understanding of the overall picture to assure themselves. Shio glanced around and nodded gently. The cold wind is gathering underground. I suspect that all the wraiths and ghosts are hidden in the area where the staircases lead to. Yes, Forrest cautiously walked towards the model stone staircase and follow the steps which were covered in gravel down. Their staircase was rather narrow, allowing only one person to pass at a time. Furthermore, the spiraled down, leaving Forrest shaken. Is she scared? Tap, tap, tap. As her footsteps echoed in the distance, the light that shone inside the staircase darkened. She'll lit the lantern in her hand, and Forrest opened layman's travel, swiping a cage with great familiarity. A bright and warm light burst outside, illuminating the mottled staircase ahead of them. Tensed, Forrest and Shield walked down at the level at a time. On the way, cold wind blew past them, making them overreact and nearly... I feel like we're watching a Scooby-Doo episode. Making them overreact and nearly cause them to launch attacks at non-existent enemies. Change music to Vanitas. Bet. Now that we've changed the music and we are reading the Scooby-Doo episode, we can continue. Was it non-existent enemies? Found it. Tap, tap, tap. In a narrow and silent environment, Forrest finally walked down the steps and stepped onto the rather flat and solid ground. She had originally wanted to say, being in a place like this for too long will really make one go mad. We don't want that to happen. But due to the silent and heavy atmosphere around her, she didn't make any sound. She was afraid that breaking the silence would result in extremely terrible developments, so they're like, let's just be quiet. Using the blob of light that was floating above her, Forrest cast her gaze forward in an attempt to see what was at the end of the staircase. It was a huge hall that was nearly 10 meters tall. There were black tiles laid out on the ground with water droplets seeping out. There were signs of damage everywhere. Dozens of meters away, where the light nearly failed to illuminate the other end of the hall, there was a pair of double bronze doors sitting there silently. Okay, double bronze doors. Something crazy is going to happen. Okay. It's not every day where you get the double doors. And went from one bottom to the top, and the rocks of the walls to the side had peeled off. So it's been there for a while. The statues were in shambles, revealing the dark brown mud underneath. The surface of the door was engraved with dense symbols and strange patterns. They had a very mysterious and heavy feel, mysterious title drop, and heavy feel, as though they were sealing something or blocking out something. Forrest finally couldn't help but say with a hushed tone, "Have you seen such large doors before?" Besides her, Shio shook her head no. Forrest immediately drew a gap, saying, "What could be behind that door? What does it lead to? Could it be the reason for building this castle in the first place, to prevent the creatures behind the door from coming out?" She'll circle the area, but didn't find any murals that could provide any information. All she found was that the closer she was to the bronze door, the more water seeped out from the ground. There was also more and more abandoned silver-black swords on the ground. Abandoned swords? Apprentice Pathway is one of the only ones that can mimic the Scooby-Doo scene where they are chased after. I'm down to see that happen. I hope that happens. During the 4th and 5th epoch, murals were very common in all castles and buildings, and before the cataclysm, it can be seen from various elven ruins that the supernatural creatures, similarly like this to the mirrors, to praise their deities and to record their daily lives. Shio said slowly, using her experience and knowledge from being a bounty hunter. Forrest nodded slightly and said, "That's indeed the case. This ancient castle is more magical than I imagined." So what are we going to find? At this moment, she felt hesitant. She even had thoughts of leaving and seeking Mr. World's help. Having heard Little Sons describe so many horror stories when exploring the abandoned ruins of the Tarot gatherings, her mind couldn't help but wonder when placed in a similar situation. She was scaring herself. Oh, this is going to be bad. Perhaps we can gather more clues by going closer? No, don't do that. She'll boldly took a few steps forward and approached a heavy sealed door that seemed to lead somewhere, and then something happens. Forrest gripped layman's travels tightly and hurriedly chased after her. He said, "Wait for me." As she walked, she suddenly saw bright redness appear before her. What seeped out from the cracks of the black tiles was no longer water, but staggering blood. This Force immediately flipped open a notebook with a bronze screen covered and cast her sights on Shio through the corner of her eye. It was unknown when Shio had turned pale. Her eyes were dark green and her lips were red. The area around her was dark and gloomy as her expressions looked extremely distorted. Fuck is going on? An ancient... No shot. Is Force gonna fight an ancient Wraith? Okay. Chapter 955 is called Ancient Wraith. She's not gonna die. You know why she ain't gonna die? Because she has some high demigod level spells now. Now that Klein is demigod off screen, he probably stacked up he probably rented Layman's Travels just to stack it up. Yo, what's up, D? Long time no see. He probably used Layman's Travels, so now she's probably stacked on some good spells. All right, chapter 955 is called Ancient Wraith. Forrest is going to take on a Wraith. Nah, probably not. She's probably going to, like, talk her way out of it. Forrest pupils dilated as though she was trying to absorb more light into her eyes to better see Shio's current circumstances. Meanwhile, the light in front of her suddenly exploded with a flash several times more blinding than old school cameras, blanketing the surroundings with whiteness. Following that, her fingers swished on a page of Layman's Travel as black flog as black fog soared from her feet, enveloping her entire body. The thick black fog quickly transformed into palm-sized illusory bats as they flew into different directions of the underground hall. This was the wings of darkness which the moon had recorded in layman's travels. Its original use was to enhance one's speed and bestow temporary flight capabilities, while producing a horde of blood-sucking bats to attack the enemy. This is the ability Emlyn gave her, right? Wings of Darkness? Yeah, the moon had recorded. Wasn't this recorded last volume? Nobody ever used it, right? Okay, so nobody ever used it, so that's why it's still there. Instead, she used it as a prop for her performance. After the illusionary bats flew away, the specs where Force stood was already empty. Yeah, what's up, dude? At some point in time, she appeared more than 10 meters away. Okay, 30 feet. And subconsciously escaping and defending herself, Force could finally calm down as she hurriedly cast her gaze onto Shio, who had turned abnormal. However, Shio only... No, come on, she ain't gonna die. She has to join the club. However, Shio only appeared to have slightly disheveled blonde hair with malt-colored skin due to her continuous forays out in the sun. Besides looking somewhat blank, as though she was surprised as to why her friend had such a huge reaction, she didn't show any signs of being influenced by wraiths or ghosts. What happened? Shio asked warily? Force narrowed her eyes without directly replying to her. Every few words, every so often we'll mispronounce a few words. That doesn't change. Force narrowed her eyes without directly replying to her. Flipping through Layman's Travels pages, she asked Shio, how tall are you? Seemingly realizing something, Shio answered 152. Isn't that so? She grew. Just as she said that, Force's fingers slid across the notebook's page, which was filled with symbols and magical labels. Suddenly, a holy light swirling with fire plummeted down from above. The undiluted and bright light instantly enveloped Shio before rippling outwards with sunlight. As the blazing light snapped into Force's eyes, she saw the hall collapse and the surrounding space shattered like glass. This feeling was gone in the flash as Force realized that she was still in her original spot. She had yet to flee. That was an illusion. She hurriedly turned to the side and saw the Shio looking at the damaged region of the heavy door. Force deliberated for a moment and asked, Shio, how tall are you? Shio glanced at her angrily and said, stop asking such an insane question. Phew, she's real. Kill her. He's like, stop asking me that. That bitch, you know how tall I am? Stop asking me. You know how I feel around that. You know how I feel around that subject. Like, stop. Phew, she's real. Force heaved a sigh of relief as she quickly described her encounter in Shio. I didn't say that, by the way. I feel like that's what Shio's saying to her. After a few seconds of thought, Shio used her lantern, wielding a hand to nudge Force's arm, letting her retreat. Perhaps the closer we are to the door, the easier it is to hallucinate. Yes, that's possible. Force nodded agreement as she quickly moved back a few steps. Following that, she surveyed the area and asked in puzzlement, why can't we find any wraiths or ghosts here? Such an environment should be something that they enjoy. Shio was perplexed as well. She then did a careful observation before landing her gaze on the blob of sunlight floating above Force's head. Try extinguishing it, she suggested. Force came to realization as she immediately dispelled the light. Silent darkness blanketed the area and ruled the underground hall once more. Only the lantern's faint yellow light put up a resistance against all of this. Then Force saw two figures in her spirit vision. They were rather close to the bronze door. One was a female with cold hair wearing a knight's trouser and a grayish shirt. For ease of movement, the other was a man wearing a silver black armor as she held a sword that was almost snapping due to rust. Okay. The former's face was a blur as it kept wandering between the door and where Force and Shio arrived. The latter was loitering beside the door, muttering something. These are the two ancient wraiths. Force nudged Shio and said with a surprised voice, I see spirit bodies. I see them as well. They aren't hiding at all. Shio curved her back as she readied herself for a fight. Force suddenly nudged her. Don't be so hasty. We aren't sure that they're the targets. She attempted to take 3 steps forward, but two relatively blurry figures didn't even look at her. Force thought and suddenly said, ma'am, what are you doing? She had heard of the stories and other mysticism circles that wraiths, shadows, and other high-level spirit body creatures could be communicated with. However, she regretted it in the moment and said that this was because communication didn't allow her to achieve her goal. There was no way that she could persuade the other party to kill themselves and hand over the cursed item and remnant spirituality of the ancient wraiths, so what the hell are we going to do? Just as Force was considering if she should launch a direct attack, the lady in the grayish shirt and the knight's trouser replied with a flat tone, I'm searching for my husband. He's a guard here. Communication is really possible. Force pressed out of curiosity. Where did he go? He's a guard here. At this moment, she approached as she wore a look of extreme vigilance. The blurry figure lady answered blankly, "He's a guard here. He told me that the magical power seeps out from behind the door, corrupting his teammates. He got me to leave as quickly as possible with a messenger, but it was too late. He said that he would ensure that I can escape safely, but I don't wish for that. I want to leave with him. After sending off the messenger, I returned midway and returned to the underground, but I can't find him." Oh, and now she's a wraith and she's stuck there. With the age of this castle exceeding the present epoch, the last defender has definitely transformed into an ancient wraith. Huh. This lady's story has moved me. I really can't bear to attack her. I feel like Force can write a book on this. Force mind whirled as she carefully took a few steps and circled around the ancient female wraith and approached the bronze door. This time she didn't suffer any more hallucinations. This seemed to imply that her encounters were subconsciously created by the lady. A distance from the silver-black armored knight with a rusty sword, Force attempted to ask, "Sir, what are you doing?" The knight paused and said with a humming voice, "I'm guarding this door of blackness. I need to ensure that my wife was escaped." Wait, is he on the other side of the door? Never show compassion in any beyond our world. You know what? You're right. I'm not gonna. You know what? No, I'm not gonna fall for this because in Volume 2, the evil spirit ended up being Medici. Evil spirit? No, no. Even though this story is moving me, I let my guard down way too quickly. No. Kill the bitch. Kill him. Kill them both. I need to ensure that my wife escapes safely. Kill him and take it. Just treat it like a video game NPC. If you meet her, tell her that her knight will fight for her to the very last moment. Ah, door of blackness. It's clearly a bronze door. Wait, what did he say? He said that he's guarding the door. I can't believe I fell for that. Has Easy learned? I actually learned a little late. I did not learn in the beginning. Oh, I was like, what a beautiful story. We should reunite them and see what happens. And like, no, that's a bad idea. Wait, what did he say? He said that he's guarding the door to ensure that his wife can safely escape. Isn't this the other half of that woman's story which she described? This is her husband. Forrest was taken aback as she kept looking back and forth between the two ancient wraiths. Was that, huh? The lady wearing a grayish shirt and knight's trousers slowly approached the bronze door before returning to the middle of the hall repeatedly. As a silver-black armored man, he was patrolling around the door with a rod and sword in hand. Imagine they just never saw each other after like 1,000 years. They were that close and just they didn't know. At times, they would pass by without noticing each other. Such a scene must have gone one from at least 1,500 years or even longer. Forrest commented silently as she turned to glance at Shio. She realized that her friend's eyes were already welling with tears. Is she crying? She's like, Shio, what a beautiful story. Such a scene must have gone on for at least 1,500 years or even longer. Forrest commented silently as she turned to glance at Shio. She realized that her friend's eyes were already welling with tears. What an easily touched person. Forrest couldn't... she's like me, dude. Forrest couldn't help it as she shouted at the female wraith. Look at the door. Your husband has been there all along. She's like, what? What the fuck? What? Really? Ain't no way. The lady slowly slowed down her pace and first glanced at Forrest before casting her gaze at the heavy door. Her blank gaze penetrated the knight, landing behind him. Why can't I find him? The wraith repeated her words and repeated her actions. Forrest felt an inexplicable sense of sorrow, and just as she was about to shout again, she saw the knight turn to look at Shio. He shouted, "Who are you?" Just as he said that, the female wraith cast her gaze at Shio and Forrest again. Oh, what if both tried to possess each body? What if one tries to possess body? Forrest immediately felt her thoughts slow down as a coldness quickly formed inside her body and ripped out, freezing her flesh and joints. As for Shio, she too was suffering from the same condition. The air around the lantern dimmed significantly. At this moment, 2 bolts of lightning lit up in Shio's eyes. Oh, wow, shit. Just lightning, okay. 2 bolts of lightning lit up in Shio's eyes. This made the wraith let out a painful cry as his body turned faint. Oh, yeah, they're weak against lightning. Yes. Spirit, right? Their weaknesses was lightning. That was mentioned. What if Shio and Forrest both died? That is not going to happen. Cat, one is going to die. Just like one is going to die between Benson and Lissa. We cannot kill both. That is way too fucking tragic. We just kill one. And you know what? I feel like it'd be more tragic because since they both love each other and they're such close friends, I think it'd hurt more if one dies and the other holds them in the hand. I don't want that to happen, but I can see that happening. Hopefully they live happily ever after. But last time I said that did not work out well when we read the Volume 4 finale, but we'll find out. Shio instantly escaped from her frozen state and threw out the triangular blade in her hand towards the female wraith. Bolts of illusionary lightning swirled around the triangular blade's tip, stabbing straight into the lady, psychic lashing. Oh, this is her new ability. The female wraith screamed as her body turned faint. Force instantly snapped awake as she slid her fingers across the open Lamus travels. Life seemed to immediately gather from the surrounding shadows, turning into a pitch black chain that restrained the male wraith to the ground. Chain? Abyss chains? What kind of ability is this? Force instantly snapped awake as she slid her fingers across. Who gave this ability? Abyss Chains. Meanwhile, Shio rushed out with her illusionary brand in hand. She stammered in on the female Wraith with her holding back the female Wraith. Force actually became more composed. She flipped through Layman's Travels and slid her fingers. She's so strong with Layman's Travels now. Silver lightning that branched out and blasted out of thin air, smiting the male Wraith and turning the area into a lightning hellscape. Finally, a holy pillar of light that had flames swirling around it appeared. It enveloped the male Wraith and completely purified him. Fuck, shit. Emlyn had Abyss Chains? I don't remember that. Every ability that has to do with the darkness and bats, you can make an educated guess. Okay. That makes sense. It makes sense, Emlyn. Okay, that makes more sense. Yes. That hits his... Okay, that fits his... Okay, got it. With one enemy taken down, Force immediately turned and dealt with a female Wraith with Shio. She didn't hold back on using powers for Layman's Travels. She came up with wise combinations of them, and using Shio suppression, she switched between restrainment, powers, and offensive from time to time. Soon as they finished off the target, everything fell silent as Force heaved a sigh of relief. She then looked at the battlefield with a look of disbelief. Is that it? No shot she did that, dude. She originally imagined that the two ancient Wraiths had unique powers, and with their higher levels, they weren't something sub-sequence 5 Beyonders could deal with, and she fucking did it with Layman's Travels. However, she realized that everything happened rather smoothly. Damn, man. This made her truly realize how godly Layman's Travels was. She also began looking forward to the next sequence as Scribe. I think shit's gonna go down. I feel like Scribe... Being a Scribe... You know what? If she's a Scribe, I feel like she'd be able to save those abilities herself and then just put them into Layman's Travels. I feel like if she's a Scribe ability involved, like she can recall the abilities and she can mimic abilities at a weaker thing, right? But then maybe she can use her Scribe abilities to stack up Layman's Travels. I feel like that's a fitting... There might be a ability that fits Scribe and Layman's Travels, you know? And they fit very cohesively. Shio was somewhat astonished as she thought for a few seconds. It's no wonder someone told me that beneath the level of demigods, the number of Beyonders, their cooperation and usage of powers are more important than their sequence. Yeah. Just as she said that, she heard knocking sounds resonate behind the door. It broke the silence of the hall, and it came from behind the bronze door. So they got rid of the Wraiths. And then they hear knocking behind the door. The fuck? Chapter 956 is called The Things Behind the Door. By the way, The Thing is a damn good movie. You guys should watch it. Let's update this and let's keep reading. Ah, man, I'm scared, man. I'm telling you, if we can kill Madame Dally like that, who's to know who's next, man? Chapter 900, The Thing, say that again. It's a good movie. Chapter 956, The Things Behind the Door. Bang, bang, bang. Behind the bronze door, the slamming sounds continue incessantly, echoing throughout the vast underground hall as though they came from an abnormally distant past. Force clamped up and couldn't help but tremble. Unable to help it, she suppressed her voice. What could be behind the door? Let me kind of just lean like this. I have no idea. Shio honestly shook her head, subconsciously gulping. Her right hand, which had just picked up her triangular blade, had jointed protestingly out as her blood vessel surfaced. Clearly, she was gripping the triangular blade tightly. Bang, bang, bang. The slamming sounds continued without any change in frequency. Each sound seemed to strike as Force and Shio's hearts, leaving their hair standing and scalps tinkling. It's likely won't be able to come out, right? If it could so easily come out, it wouldn't have waited until today. Force tried to console herself with parched lips. She nodded heavily and said, "We leave once the ingredients form." Okay, we just dip. Milosh, I just realized you guys forgot to send Art of Mr. Star. You know what's so funny, Milosh? The second you... Like, I was literally just about to make a comment that Force is growing on me a lot, man. And I'm like, now... And I was literally about to say, now I understand why Milosh loves Force. It is so random. The second I was about to say that, I see you comment. All right, so we'll look at, if you want, we'll look at the start card at the end once we're done with our stream. The goal is to pass 960. That way we're under 100 chapters behind Wiz. That's the goal. It likely won't be able to come out right if it's... Wait, skip the line. Leaving... Wait. What was it? As they formed? What was it? As it formed? We leave once the ingredients form. In such an environment and atmosphere, he curiously had been completely overwhelmed by her innate fear. All right, as Forrest glanced at the spots where the 2 ancient wraiths had been cleansed, she blamed the moon for providing undetailed information. He hadn't mentioned that there was such a strange door behind the ancient castle. At this moment, glowing dust... Maybe he just didn't know. At this moment, glowing dust was landing on the ground like shattered gems, forming into 2 piles as they gathered together. Around them, nearly formless, revenant spirituality condensed into a seemingly ethereal crystal. Accompanied by the crystal and dust were 2 different items. One was ring-shaped and completely transparent as though it was a corroded ring. Okay. The other was an eye carved from a crystal with a faint black gas swirling within. Upon seeing the scene, Forrest suddenly realized something, and an ancient wraith was a ghost-like creature with a bionic characteristic mixed in. The cursed item would be related to a particular item while they were still alive, fusing with the characteristic and turning into a foundation to which they relied on for their existence. It was precisely because of this that the different ancient wraiths had different corresponding cursed items in shapes and forms. Okay, it's because it depended on them. However, so it's like that's why both items don't look the same. However, they were essentially the same. And the dust was another type of characteristic. It was a source of the most of their strength, stemming from the remnant spirituality, slightly equivalent to the blood of the ingredients of the monsters. Bang, bang, bang. The entity striking behind the door didn't stop, let up at all. It kept testing Forrest and Shio's psyche. Being afraid and cautious, the duo's bodies trembled so much that they even imagined their door was shaking slightly. Their racing hearts were in their throats. With them being able to head for their staircase at any moment, Forrest finally waited until the ancient wraiths powder and cursed items took form. As she signaled to Shio to beware, she crouched down and took out 3 square metal boxes she had prepared. After some hesitation, Forrest looked up at Shio and said, "These 2 ancient wraiths had been waiting for each other for so long. I'm thinking of separating a little of what they left behind and bringing them together." Oh, that's so sweet. Look at her, man. In that case, I'll get a cursed item and you'll get a pile of dust. We'll split the remaining spirituality, right? Shio didn't hesitate as she nodded. All right. Forrest suddenly heaved a sigh of relief as she pursed her lips. Flipping through Layman's Travels, she slid her fingers across a particular page. The 5 nails on her right hand immediately grew long and sharp, covering black pattern. Oh, it's the fangs. Got it. I remember this. Not it's her. Yes. This was one of Emmeline's abilities. This was the claw of corrosion from Sanguine. Upon seeing her palm transforms, Forrest grabbed at the ground, easily digging a hole and leaving behind a corrosive mark. Right on the heels of that, she placed the crystal eyeball-like cursed item into a pile of dust and into a hole before filling the hole with the gravel and soil she had dug up. She lightly grazed the flattened ground with her fingernails, writing an epitaph: "Returning for you, defending for you, together forever." That is a beautiful epitaph. Look at that. After doing all this, Forrest sighed when she heard the slamming behind the door turned louder. Bam. She jumped in fright and hurriedly placed the pile of dust, ring-shaped cursed item, and remnant spirituality into the different square metal boxes. Then she put the boxes away, stood up, and slowly walked to the spiraling and cramped staircase with Shio. Bang, bang. The slamming sound behind the door grew louder and more intense as Forrest and Shio subconsciously gritted their teeth. Following the staircase and rapidly heading up, they increased their speed until they began running. They ignored the possibility of falling on the staircase and tumbling down like a wheel. Finally, Forrest and Shio saw sunlight. Sunlight beamed in from the outside, shining upon the staircase ahead of them. It was bright and pure and warm. At this moment, the slamming sound from the underground had come to a sudden stop without any follow-up, so it just stopped. Forrest and Shio exchanged looks, slowly slowed down their pace, and after a few large strides, returned to the top of the abandoned ancient castle. The duo didn't say a word and directly left the area, returning to the periphery of the forest. After walking for some time, Forrest calmed down and pursed her lips. It was really oh, they just wait. So do we not know what was behind the door? Wait, hold up. We are, because this is a long chapter and we're barely halfway through. It was really terrifying, although the thing behind the bronze door didn't deal us any harm, nor did it even show itself. I think it was more terrifying than the ancient wraiths, probably. Compared to all my past experiences, it's far more terrifying. In those few minutes, I couldn't help but imagine all the different tragic deaths I might suffer. Each subtle foreshadowing? No, we don't want that. Each one was more terrifying than the last, but none of them were terrifying and slamming sounds. Shio turned her head and agreed with a nod. Yeah, I felt as though I was walking on the edge of a cliff. Forrest was about to continue as she was just 2 streams of bright red blood flowing down Shio's nose. Shio. Shut up. No. Your nose is bleeding. Forrest hurriedly warned her friend. She was taken aback as her pupils dilated. You too? They were close to death? Is that where they're bleeding? Forrest blankly reached out her hand and wiped her nose. It felt warm to the touch, wet and sticky. Okay, so we're good. She was appalled as she hurriedly held her right hand in front of her and saw the red blood smeared across. It was bright and striking. Rip? No, we're good. It results from being overly anxious for his muttered in puzzlement. At this moment, through the sunlight diffusing through the forest canopy, she realized the faint black spots were quickly growing on her wrists as a discernible pace. What the fuck is going on? The black spots rapidly spread, covering her arm and the back of her hand. Force subconsciously cried out. She hurriedly looked at Shio. No, stop. She saw Shio's cheeks and neck covered with black spots. This isn't normal. First blurted out. She was sensing the abnormality happening to both of them as she recalled and said, do you still remember what the female Wraith said? She said that the guards from before had been corrupted by the forces that seeped out from behind the door. Could it be that we've been corrupted? No, shut up. No fucking RIP. No, what do you mean here it comes? They're good. No. Chill. Don't gaslight me. I ain't gonna fall for that. Shio still hasn't become a Terror Club member. And we still have, we can't just leave Layman Travels behind. If she were to die, we at least need to give Layman Travels to the crew. No, it's okay. Ford was taken aback for a second before she nodded heavily. It's possible. No, it's not. She hurriedly took out the medicine. Oh, thank God. She hurriedly took out the medicine that she had prepared, handing over some of it to Shio. Then she twisted the lid off and downed 2 bottles. However, they didn't show any signs of recovering. The black spots grew in number. Oh! This is where Shio prays to the fool. Okay, we're gonna get a second Terror Club member right away. This is the only way we get out of this. Potions don't work, pray to the fool. Then she twisted the lid off and down 2 bottles. However, they didn't show any signs of recovering. The black spots grew in numbers, turning their vision blurry. But dump. Oh no, my heart's racing. Before long, For's, whose efforts to save herself were in vain, she could hear her heartbeat and sense her body beginning to lose strength. No. Out of idea, she quivered her lips, clenched her teeth, and turned her body inside. She took a few steps to open up a distance for Shio. Pray to the fool. Then she bowed her head and chanted, oh, shit, dude. Then she bowed her head and chanted Mr. Fool's honorific name. In about 10 seconds, she saw dark red light appear, engulfing her like the tide. The ravings and roaring vanishes as Four saw the familiar model bronze table and 10 high back chairs opposite her. She then realized that her dizziness and blurred vision had vanished. There weren't any more of the strange, accentuated black spots in her spirit body. Thank you for your help. Force hurriedly stood up and bowed at the figure shrouded in the gray fog at the end of the long bronze table. Then she heard Mr. Fool say in a calm tone, your spirit has been corrupted by some force. It should be fine now. Cleansed by Mr. Fool. Oh, God. Wait, what about Shio? Cleansed by Mr. Fool, For's heart stirred, just as he wanted to make a request to Mr. Fool regarding how Shio could be saved. The scene before turned red as light soared up. After a brief pause, she found herself in the real world, back in the Lear Forest. The black spots on the back of her hand and wrist were rapidly fading and recovering. The blood that kept dripping from her nose had already come to a stop. Returning her body, she saw Shio weakly slumped on the tree. Her face was covered in black spots, making her look terrifying. The muscles on both sides of her neck were tensed up and her mind spun. Come on, like pray to the fool. A few seconds later, she walked over quickly, pressed Shio on the shoulder, and rapidly said, I have a way to save you, but you need to follow my instructions. Oh, shit. Were you guys saying it's happening because she's going to join? Oh, my God. Okay. We're getting 2 members right away? Oh, man. It's just like in Volume 1. I'm losing my voice. Just like how Audrey and Olga joined right away. Oh, Leonard and Shio joined right away. I'm losing my voice. It's been so long. We've been waiting for this moment for so long. Oh, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, my God. You guys fucking got me. You pieces of shit. I was like, no fucking way. I was like, both don't die. Only one has to die. I was like, I'm not ready. I have a way to save you, but you need to follow my instructions. Use ancient Hermie to say this. The fool that doesn't belong to this era. Shio could hardly turn her swollen eyelids. Looking at Force for 2 seconds, she heaved and chanted, the fool that doesn't belong to this era. The mysterious ruler above the gray fog. Damn it, it's hard to gaslight him now. I ain't gonna fall for that shit ever again. I'm over here biting my words, man. You guys are probably gonna gaslight me one more time in the future. The king of yellow and black who wields good luck. Oh, shit. Just as she said that, Shio saw dark red... I'm about to cry. We've been waiting for this moment for so long. We've been waiting for this moment for like 2 volumes. Just as she said that, Shio saw a dark red starlight surge out from the void, sweeping over her. Indescribable roars continued for a second before vanishing from Shio's ear. She then saw herself seated in the ancient and majestic palace. She was sitting beside a model bronze table. At her feet were boundless gray white fogs. In front of her was a lofty figure looking down at her. This scene was both unfamiliar and familiar to her. She had once seen it in a dream. She did. But she hadn't even had she hadn't ever had it again after the exorcism ritual. The purification was actually useless. She suddenly had this thought as she stood up in deliberation, bowing at her figure enshrouded in the gray fog. You are the great king of yellow and black. Oh, shit, dude. She didn't appear too surprised or alarmed, as though she had already expected it. You can call me Mr. Fool. Have a seat. The figure with an epic aura. An epic aura. Replied calmly. Shio bowed again and sat down. Confirming that she had escaped her unwell state, she looked at her sides as though before asking, Honorable Mr. Fool, does Forest Wall have a seat here? Shrouded in the gray fog, the fool nodded gently and said, yes. Oh, she felt... I just read the next line. Can I join? She fell silent for a second and directly asked, can I join just like her? Just like her. Sorry. Can I join just like her? The fool chuckled. It's a gathering they organize on their own according... but it's conveyed by me. There's still a seat available at present. You may join. No shit, dude. Draw a card. They use one of the major Arcana cards as their code name. What is she gonna be? Shortstop? The shorty? Shio didn't ask and speak any further. I'm sorry. I don't mean to diss Shio like that. I love her. I've always loved her. Guess which one? The chariot. If she's small, but she has such a high ego, she just goes on she's riding a chariot. This volume is art, dude. This is a fucking good volume. I think this is the best volume start so far. This is probably the best start to a volume so far. Shio didn't ask or speak any further. She has to be the chariot. She merely nodded, yes, Mr. Fool. I feel like if they drop it at the end, I'm gonna hide that last line. On the bronze table in front of her, a deck of tarot cards immediately appeared. Shio reached out her right hand and solemnly cut the deck, pulled one card and flipped it over. The card depicted an angel with a trumpet and the sleeping dead awaiting the salvation. Oh, that makes more sense. The judgment card. That makes so much more sense. Okay. I didn't know there was a judgment card. Now I know there's a judgment card. She wants revenge? Damn, dude. Wait, why does Shio want revenge? Am I missing something? No shot. What a good volume. This stream, we've gotten literally the star and the judgment. Damn, dude. Oh, shit. Dude, I forgot about her father. I thought they just lost her title. How was the dad killed again? An assassination attempt? I remember they lost her title and her pathway. Wait, catch me up to speed. Catch me up to speed. What's her whole background on her father and her pathway? Catch me up. Catch me up. I remember them losing their title, and I remember her whole background of her being from nobility. I thought they just lost her title. What was the background? I'm so sorry. Remind me. He knew too much. Easy. He knew too much. All right. Chapter 957 is called Getting to Know Each Other. Something was pinned on her father or something. Oh, okay. So he wasn't killed. They just pinned blame on him. Oh, and that's what led to them losing their nobility title. Her father got accused of betraying the king. He doesn't know this part yet. Shush. Ascend. They used her father as a scapegoat. Her father was accused of something. Okay. Okay. Her father was accused of something. Okay. Next chapter. 957. Holy shit. We got 2 people to join so quickly. Wait. How many people do we have now? I can't do math. Wait. Oh my god. Wait. A lot of people. We're going to get one more person at the end of this volume. And it's going to be Trissy. No, if I read something, I don't remember what I read. Something was spent on his father. Okay. So, at the end of this volume, Trissy joins. If we're already getting 2 out of my 3 wanted Tarot Club members, Trissy has to join at the end. Okay, man. Just pull one more. And then we have the 3 people we've been missing. All right, chapter 957 is called Getting to... Can't wait for the next goated Tarot Club meeting. It's going to be fun. Audrey's going to be like, oh my god, Shio. Oh my god, Force. We're all together. Let's go hang out. It's going to be so funny. Maybe she reveals it then. Chapter 957 is called Getting to Know Each Other. Looking at a judgment card in hand, Shio was taken aback. This greatly meets my expectations. Shrouded in the gray fog, the fool nodded and calmly said, the gathering is held here at 3 in the afternoon on Mondays, Backland time. Be prepared. During the gatherings, you can exchange information, ingredients, formulas, and knowledge. You can also pay a certain price to entrust missions to the other members. Shio recalled for a moment before nodding in enlightenment. Yes, Mr. Fool. Believing that this was all for the day, she heard the voice coming from the end of the bronze table. What did you do before being corrupted by that force? We really were corrupted. Shio composed herself and completely recounted her exploration of the ancient castle with force. She emphasized the bronze door, which had been named the Door of Blackness, as well as the ancient castle's guard that had been reduced by Wraith due to the corruption. Okay, Door of Blackness, underground ruins. Maybe this is sealing the angel. Where are you going to do the volume 4 description? Most likely tomorrow night if Wiz is available, because I am available tomorrow, like during his second stream time. And if not, it'll have to be Thursday, since I'll be free most of the day Thursday. Yes, Mr. Full, believing... Wait. What was it? The Door of Blackness. This has to be another Kings of Angel or something. As well as the ancient castle guarding that had been reduced to a rave due to the corruption. Then she noticed Mr. Full not slightly as she calmly said, don't enter the ancient castle again before you reach sequence 4. It's time for you to return. Shio then got up and allowed for the description of the religious ritual. She bowed and said, your wish is my command. Damn. Just as she said that, the dark red color surged in front of her. After everything dissipated, she was back in the real world and leaning against a thick tree. Subconsciously looking in the back of her hand, she realized that the black spots were rapidly turning faint. Shio looked up as Force, who was staring at her wordedly. As their gazes met, Force was first delighted before revealing a smile. She opened her mouth, but was also at a loss for words. Shio slowly exhaled and pointed ahead. Let's first return to the town. All right, Force answered without any hesitation. At this moment, above the great fog, the full client was tapping the edge of the model table as he considered Miss Magician and Miss Judgment to counter. The object of power sealed behind a door of blackness could still corrupt the guards and explorers outside, even without escaping. Just the mere thought of it was terrifying. Furthermore, this corruption stemmed from the spirit body. To resolve, the client had only two solutions. One was to make the corruption entirely hold a complete secret deed ritual and use the powers above the great fog and the sun brush to complete a purification. The other was to directly pull the spirit body over using the great fog to cleanse them. As he didn't have the luxury of time, he had chosen the latter. What could it be? The most corruptive powers belonging to the devil pathway. That place connects to the abyss. Shut the fuck up. Are we at... I told you we were gonna get the abyss this volume. The place connected to the abyss. That's not... Oh, wait, that's not... I thought I said that's not possible. That's not impossible. Based on Little Sun's description, during the early and mid stages of the second epoch, devils often left the abyss and were active... Wow, I got lightheaded saying that. Devils often left the abyss and were active over the land. It was only when the ancient sun god appeared, causing the ancient gods to perish. I got so lightheaded after that. Causing ancient gods to perish one after another, that they retreat into the abyss and seal themselves in. Based on that, it's rather normal to have an underground ancient entrance to the northern continent to lead the abyss. It can also be imagined that the castle is built with men sent to watch over it. But the problem lies in the fact that it's been a millennia. Why would there still be an existence slamming their door? Maybe they've been waiting for Klein. Maybe they've been waiting for a worthy successor or a worthy individual to enter the door. Although Dev was planning on returning, Klein made a preliminary guess. He definitely had no plans on exploring the abandoned castle to verify his thoughts, because it was unlikely that there would be any changes anytime soon. After all, since it was news that came from the Sanguine, he could get the Moon Emily to do some gathering on information to figure out the history of the castle. Reining in the thought, Klein removed the topaz chain from his wrist and divined if the matter regarding the ancient castle was pressing. He received a negative answer. He immediately returned to the real world and waited for the local ruler, General Mace Sanchez, to send over the down payment. At 2 in the afternoon, faint upon her time, a haggis with a hair combed backwards, with dressed as a northern continent gentleman, carried a black leather suitcase with the money. We have a team of guards. As they knocked, and Dwayne knocked his door. Please come on in. A warm and elegant voice sounded from inside. It was first low and a backland accent before it was changed to the local language of Dutanese. Haggis turned the doorknob and entered. He saw Dwayne Dutanese with his white sideburns and deep blue eyes stand up from his reclining chair while pressing down at the end of his black vest. Good afternoon, my friend. This lone gentleman with good looks bearings took 2 steps forward and extended his right palm. This time he switched to using lowness. Haggis replied using the accent of lowness noble. It's my honor to be your friend. After he shook hands with Dwayne Dantes, he surveyed the area and chuckled. Is this your servant? He pointed in the mixed blood youth standing behind the arms dealer, and between the lines he was shaking as if he was trustworthy. After all, Dwayne Dantes hadn't brought any servants back when he visited the general residence yesterday. Yes, his greatest strength is the ability to keep secrets, Dwayne Dantes smiled as he pointed to the leather sofa across the reclining chair. With 2 guards flowing haggis, he closed the door and sat down. He then said with a smile, "I've heard of Inton's proverb that's said to be from Emperor Roselle. It's haggis for you. What the fuck do you mean haggis is the goat? Is he the goat? Maybe not." No, you guys said Luca was the goat. He said that the dead men tell no tales. Okay, that's a pretty banger ass line. Dwayne Dantes said with a laugh. Emperor Rizal also says something else. Corpses can speak. Is that so? This is my first time hearing this. Haggis enjoyed conversing with a northern continent gentleman, so they continued the conversation for a while before he lifted up the suitcase besides him and opened it. At that instant, there seemed to be... Damn, these are long chapters. I'm noticing how long these chapters are. At that instant, there seems to be an overflowing golden luster under illumination from the sunlight outside. The entire room seemed to brighten significantly. Damn. It's like the ending of Pulp Fiction when he opens the briefcase and it's just a beautiful golden luster, right? And the entire room seemed to brighten significantly. Haggis then looked at Dwayne Dantes and said, 5,000 low and gold points, 5,000 low and gold pounds, as well as 5,000 gold coins and gold bars. This is the down payment. I'll bring along the remaining 30,000 pounds in cash and gold the entire time, and we'll hand it over when the arms deal is completed. Dwayne Dantes scanned the stacks of cash and the gold coins and the golden bar of the leather suitcase before retracting his gaze and saying with a smile, "When do we set off?" Haggis closed the leather suitcase and handed it to Dwayne Dantes, served and said simply, "Tomorrow morning." He paused for 2 seconds before saying, Mr. Dantes, the gentleman has a guest who would like to meet you, Luca." Dwayne Dantes' expression didn't change, as well as he fell silent for a few seconds. When? All right, let's continue. Now, Haggis said without daring to show any signs of being perfunctory. He's downstairs. Dwayne Dantes nodded slightly. "Please invite him up." Haggis immediately heaved a sigh of relief and left with his guards. They followed the stairwell down. Before long, Luca, in a simple white robe with brass lions adorned it, walked. His silver hair had been combed very neatly. When he arrived by Dwayne Dantes' door, he heard a voice from the inside just as he raised his hand. "Please come on in." This time they spoke using ancient Basic. Luca's expression didn't change as he naturally opened the door. He then saw the middle-aged gentleman who had rather good-looking qualities from yesterday standing beside the reclining chair facing him. And sitting in a reclining chair with a young man, he had a black hair and brown eyes with a thin cut face. He had a cold temperature. Luca was taken aback as he took a step forward, entered the room, and closed the door. After he sat down on the sofa in a composed manner, his gray eyes clearly reflected the young man in front of him. German Sparrow. Luca addressed him with a rhetorical question. German Sparrow curled the corners of his mouth. Directly addressing the others by their full name is impolite. Luca nodded and said, "My apologies for my fox pass." Fox pass? I don't know what that means. Fox pass. I've never read that word in my life. Fox pass. Apologies for my fox pause. Made an intimidation artificial. Oh, like intimidation? A step in dancing. Okay. Fox, intimidation, pause, dancing, especially in classical ballet. Okay, got it. It's French shudders? Ah. Okay, faux pas. False step. Got it. Okay, thank you guys. I've never used that word in my vocabulary. I'll tell you that much. I recall that you advanced to Sequence 5 less than half a year ago, or it might have been only 3 months, yet it should have been completed when you were in the ruins of the Battlefield of Gods. I never expected that you were already a demigod. It left me a little bewildered. German Smurl smiled without giving any explanation. Wait. I skipped something. As he sat down on the sofa in a composed manner, his gray-green eyes reflected a young man in front of him. Did I skip something? Please invite him. Haggis immediately heaved a sigh of relief, ground neatly. Please come on in. They spoke in ancient Basic. Luke's expression didn't change as he naturally pushed open the door. Spectre Empire. Luke was taken aback as he took a step back, entered the room, and closed the door. As he sat down on the sofa in a composed manner, his gray-green eyes clearly reflected the young man in front of him. German Sparrow. Luke had addressed him in a rhetorical question. Okay, so he switched from Dwayne to German. German Sparrow curled the corners of his lips, directly addressing the others by their full name as impolite. Luke. Okay, got it. We switched to German. German Sparrow smiled without giving an explanation. After a brief moment of silence, he said in an unhurried tone, "Why are you visiting me?" Luca calmly replied, "I don't know. It was mentioned in Volume 3. Oh. The atmosphere in the room suddenly turned somewhat odd. German Sparrow seemed to forget that there was an elderly man sitting opposite him that needed him to speak again. Luca indiscriminately nodded and said, "This is the thing. I made a prophecy by chance not too long ago. In that prophecy, I will be in a rather thorny situation in the future, and one of the people I meet with over these few days will help me deal with it. I'm not sure if it's you, but I'm rather be safe than sorry, so I decided to meet you and get to know each other. Oh, let's get to know each other. My name is Luca Brewster, a clergyman who serves the God of knowledge and wisdom. I'm presently in charge of the various matters in West Balham. German Sparrow nodded and said, not bad. Now know. I thought you said I already know of you. Okay, I now know of you. I don't believe I need to introduce myself, right? Of course, Luca said, you should be a bizarre sorcerer. I recently received some intel that there had been some reshuffling among the secret orders and intas. Damn. Okay, he has intel. He didn't see German Sparrows reveal any looks of shock. This powerful adventurer who is famous across the 5 seas said with a moment's silence, Zaratul has returned. Oh, shit. The look in Luca's eyes changed immediately before being restored to normal. Then he stood up and said, since we've gotten to know each other, it's time we bid farewell. That's it? After saying this, he walked to the door, twisted the doorknob, and left the room. Sitting on a reclining chair, German Sparrow watched as his figure was concealed inch by inch by the wooden door until he completely dissipated. Then he chuckled, what a charlatan. Yes, Dwayne Ontis, who was standing beside the reclining chair, found a seat and sat down. He then picked up a cup of tea and sipped from it. With white sideburns and deep blue eyes, he and the thin, angular-faced German Sparrow exchanged looks and smiled in unison. On Monday afternoon, Dwayne Dondas took out his golden pocket watch, opened it, and said to Haggis opposite of him, we're almost arriving at our destination. I believe you and my men need some rest. Read Wind Valley top message here. Top message. Derp, he's reading the bottom of the chat. Read that part? It was mentioned in Volume 3. Oh, I see it. Wait. Before I forget, Easy Cuttlefish yesterday posted on social media that he might write side stories about the Tunnerson Empire, lost treasure at sea, the ghost ship called Spectre Empire. So we are going to get more side stories? Okay, so he didn't confirm Book 3, but we're getting more side stories. Oh, shit. Hell yeah. Okay, I mean, I assume the last alleged side stories were AI, right? From a BL story? Okay, but he confirmed, like, okay, he's actually doing side stories. Okay, that dude. Okay, I didn't know that. Yes? Okay, awesome. Okay. An excellent suggestion. I think I didn't read this. Since we got to know each other, it's time to bid farewell. After saying this, he walked to the door. Yo, thank you. Thank you for telling me that. Oh, we will eventually get to it. One day, hopefully soon, we will get to it. It's going to be a while, though, before we get to the side stories. Twisted the doorknob and left the room. Sitting on the reclining chair, German Sparrow watched as the figure was concealed inch by the wooden door until he completely disappeared. Then he chuckled. What a charlatan. Yes, Dwayne Tontas, who was standing beside the reclining chair, found a seat and sat down. He then picked up a cup of tea and sipped from it. With the white sideburns and deep blue eyes, he had the thin, angular-faced German Sparrow exchange looks and spelled in unison. On Monday afternoon, Dwayne Tontas took out the golden... So, both... He had... Did he? I'm sorry. I hope we get a Roselle prequel. I think that'd be sick. I think it'd be cool to see, like, Roselle's, like, origin stories, like, how we got there and, like, what he did to become the Emperor. I think it'd be cool to see more, besides just the diary entries we get on him. I think that'd be cool. On Monday afternoon, Dwayne Dantas took out the golden pocket watch, opened it, and said to Haggis opposite him, we're almost arriving at our destination. I believe you and your men need some rest. An excellent suggestion. Haggis was rather agreeable. Dwayne Dantas pointed at the street ahead. There's a hotel ahead. Let's rest there for half a day before we set off again tomorrow. Haggis didn't object as he turned to the front and instructed the carriage driver. After checking into the hotel, Dwayne Dantas declined the Haggis invitation for an afternoon tea by using an afternoon nap as an excuse. Slightly more than half an hour later, above the boundless gray fog, Klein sat in the seat that belonged to the fool. Is it Tarot Club time? Maybe. Yeah. At first, okay. Thank you for bringing that up, Thank you for bringing that up, Urza. Because at first I thought they switched and like, okay. So the next day he set up the meeting and he spoke to German. I was like, that doesn't make sense if he was shown as Dwayne. Okay, but now it shows that both can be summoned at the same time in the real world. Not just above the Great Fog. But now that he's a demigod, he has both above in the real world. Okay. Yeah, I didn't catch that until the very end where it said Dwayne looked at German. I'm like, oh shit, what the that's pretty cool. I do find it cool now that now he can control him in the real world. That is pretty sick. But chapter 958 is called Labeling. Dark red beams shot up, materializing into different figures on both sides of the long bronze table. The unchanged silence above the great fog was broken as the ethereal palace seemed to have an additional, inexplicable sense of life to it. Just as Audrey regained her senses of her surroundings, she prepared to stand up to greet the existence at the end of the long bronze table. At this moment, as a senior spectator, she acutely noticed a difference. There were 2 more members than last week. She's like, damn, we got 2 in one meeting? One of them was a man sitting to the right of Mr. Moon. The other was a lady sitting to the left of the hermit. Audrey first felt happy that the Terry Club was developing and becoming stronger, but then she kept to her professional instincts and quickly began observing. Due to where she sat, the man opposite to her was much easier to observe compared to the lady 2 seats away from her. Therefore, she placed her attention on the man. Black hair, green eyes, he doesn't wear a coat, a vest matched with a shirt. He sits a little oddly. He's not accustomed to sitting properly. This is going to be the best Terry Club meeting ever. TC time? It's TC time, dude. He's not accustomed to sitting properly. How does he normally sit? Yeah. He always sits like a main character. He's probably about 180 centimeters tall. I don't know what that is in freedom units. I'm sorry. He's 180 centimeters tall. He has quite a desultory temperament. He's rather tense at one glance, just as Audrey had read plenty of information from the rather blurry figure. She then noticed something different. The man was quickly surveying his surroundings. He's trying to find the world. Such an action wasn't a problem in itself, and anyone who came to this strange and secret location would definitely subconsciously size up the other members and attempt to grasp their traits and general situation so as to calm down. But the problem was that the man was moving his gazes too quickly. He's trying to find Klein, dude. Oh, fuck, he is tall. He's 6 feet. Leonard is getting jumped. His gaze had swept past the moon, the hanged man, and the other members without pausing. To Audrey, this was a very clear phenomenon. It didn't mean that the man was observing his surroundings and studying the members, but he was finding someone. He was looking for someone he had in his mind. Audrey instantly felt a little excited as she believed that this newcomer knew one of the members present. Who could it be? She observed for another second and realized that the man sitting diagonally opposite of her had fixed his gaze onto the world. You know what's crazy? I think Audrey's going to realize it. I'll be honest. I think at the end of the story, Audrey is going to realize that the world is the fool. I'll be honest. If there's one person, we need more. If there, what the fuck is a centimeter? A cent. I think if anybody figures out Klein's identity, it's gonna be Audrey. Once she reaches like demigod spectator, I think she's gonna be able to figure out. She's gonna see through the facade, but she's gonna be like, you know what? No, it's cool. I'm not gonna tell anybody. That's just between you and me. I can see that happening. Gaze on the world, grim and spiral. Audrey was thrilled as though she had discovered a secret. She thought enlightenment. The newcomer is a friend of Mr. World, or is it at least the case that they know each other in the real world? He also knows that he's a Tarot Club member, or it could be that said that Mr. World had inducted him into this gathering. No, that's not very possible. If that were the case, the newcomer would be much more certain. He wouldn't be eagerly searching for someone he knows. He definitely would have placed his gaze onto other members for a long period of time. Furthermore, such an action also proves that he's not a blessed of Mr. Fool. What is the relationship with Mr. World? Audrey held back onto her thoughts and continued to observe as he stood up and turned to face the seat of honor. During this process, she took the opportunity to sweep her gaze at the new member sitting beside Ma'am Hermit. 4th best girl is G. I theorize the same with their therapy sesh. Thank you, Mac. I'm pretty sure, like, towards the end of the series, they're going to have, like, one more therapy sesh, and then Audrey's going to be like, I know. She's going to be like, I know everything, but that's okay. That's between you and me. Like, I now know that the fool is you. And you know what? I think that's going to be cool. I think that's going to be a sick-ass reveal. If there's one person that finds out, I think it's going to be Audrey. He definitely would have placed, or that, or just Klein tells everybody, like, hey. Ooh, or at the end of the series, Klein tells everybody, hey, this is our last Terror Club. I'm sorry you guys think I'm the fool, but in actuality, I'm just a guy that came from another world that wants to go back home, or some shit like that. Both outcomes would be crazy. Furthermore, such an action also proves that he's not a blessed Mr. Fool. What is his relationship to Mr. World? Audrey held onto her thoughts, but continuing to observe as he stood up and turned to face the seat of honor. During this process, she took the opportunity to sweat her gaze at the new member sitting beside Ma'am Hermit. She's exchanging looks at Miss Justice. Her height shield had finally passed the test and joined the gathering. Upon identifying her, Audrey did a curtsy towards the figure shrouded in the gray fog. No more fanfics, please. No, it's not a fanfic. It's gonna happen, dude. He is no longer some guy. He is a demigod. Good afternoon, Mr. Fool. Just as he issued the brisk greeting, she realized something. Mr. Fool is a little different from before. This great existence seems to be more one with the entire... gray fog palace and space. His aura was lofty and minded like the sea of the sky. This feeling isn't something that can be described with words. Mr. Vo has taken one more step to his awakening, allowing him to retrieve more of his authority over his divine kingdom. Audrey's eyes darted around, feeling curious and delighted, as well as a little sense of pride. At this moment, the Hanged Man, Olga, and the Hermit Kalia had noticed the two new members. They noticed that the lady with a little short hair was secretly exchanging signals with Miss Magician. She was both unfamiliar but also familiar with the Terror Gathering. At the very least, she was unlike the man in the white shirt and the black vest. He had frankly stood up with only after everyone began bowing. In addition, they sensed that the new male member took special notice of the world. Oh shit, they sensed it. They sensed that the new male figure member took special notice of the world German Sparrow, causing them to have many guesses. Okay, these thoughts resonated in their minds, but they didn't express them. The Hanged Man and the Hermit completed the usual first steps of the gathering with Miss Justice. Leonardo Audrey had to analyze several points. Meanwhile, Shio Audrey, days 150 centimeters, instantly recognized. Yeah, she instantly recognized her. That's the funny part. Like, it's her. She's finally here, right? Finally. Okay. The Hanged Man and the Hermit completed the usual first steps. I skipped a line. They sensed the new male member took special notice of the world German Sparrow, causing them to have many guesses. These thoughts resonated in their minds, but they didn't express them. The Hanged Man and the Hermit completed the usual first steps of the gathering with Miss Justice. As for the son, Derek, he was just happy because the Terror Club had new members again. He's just happy there's more people. Too short L. These thoughts resonated in their minds. Oh, wait, as for the son, Derek, I was almost stuck in a time loop. As for the son, Derek, he was just happy because the Terror Club had new members again. The Moon Emmeline had mixed feelings. On the other hand, he felt a sense of superiority being more senior compared to the newcomers. But on the other hand, he had a feeling that there were just too many messiahs from the apocalypse. He's like, too many fucking people. After some searching, the star Leonard determined that the one sitting on the bottom at the end of the long bronze table was Klein Moretti. This is because his physical characteristics were similar to that of German Sparrow's description. He's hiding his true identity. He doesn't relax even in such a secretive gathering. Using 2 levels of disguises, I have to take note. Just as this thought flashed around his mind, Leonard saw the girl sitting to the left of Mr. Fool stand up. She led everyone into bowing. He was taken aback, failing to react in time. He stood up when amongst all the standing members. After a second, Leonard snapped back to his senses and hurriedly stood up to deliver the greeting. Opposite to him, Shio glanced at him, equated him to Force to a certain extent. Force shared the same thought, however, she had equated the man with Shio to a certain extent. This is because Shio had appeared rather unreliable when they first met. This is the star. This is the star, and this is the star, and this is judgment. Take your seats and introduce yourself. The fool Klein raised his right hand and casually pointed. The name the star keeps making me think that this is the code name for a lady. The name the star keeps making me think that this is a code name for a lady. As Leonard thought in his desperation, he focused and began labeling the members in order of their introduction. Miss Justice seems like a young lady, but she might have donned 2 levels of disguise like Klein. She's rather optimistic and cheerful. Although I can tell the details of her attire, it appears to be very classy. Mr. Hangman, burly restrained, he's likely to be straightforward but rash person. Miss Magician, the way... Wait. Miss Justice seems to be like a young lady. Mr. Hanged Man seems burly restrained. Miss Magician, the way she looks at me is weird. From time to time, she will glance at Klein. I have no idea what's on her mind. She seems to be rather ordinary overall, with nothing standing out. You put some respect. Wiz finished streaming. Time to speed up. Time to speed up. Wait, what chapter did he stop at? What was his last chapter? We have to be minus 100 chapters ahead. Minus 100 chapters behind. She's likely... Wait, I skipped a line. I skipped another line. I have no idea what's on her mind. She seems to be rather ordinary overall, with nothing standing out. Mr. Sun, he's very tall. Very tall? I thought he's small. He's very tall, but the way he speaks sounds like he's going through puberty. Although he's silent, he doesn't seem rather friendly. Son, Derek is tall? I thought he was always small. I thought that was a joke. 1,601. I gotta read to 62. Son of a bitch. Mr. Sun, he's very tall. Miss Hermit, Ma'am Hermit, she exudes a mature and staid demeanor. She's likely very experienced beyond her. Mr. Moon, rather young and looks a little reserved, makes me feel like I've seen him somewhere before. but I can't recall it. I'll continue. He has to figure out over time. I'll continue observing misjudgment, very short with very obvious traits. However, I can't be sure if she's been donned 2 levels of disguises. The world, very, very gloomy. This is likely his disguise. Well, it might be also his true nature. He wasn't a demigod before, meaning that the gathering has no lack of mid-sequence beyonders. I wonder if I'm the weakest one. As Leonard, 9 people. And with fucking Klein, technically 10. 9, technically 10. Derek is the youngest, but he has giant's blood. I guess that makes sense why he looks tall. Okay. Okay, that does make sense. The rest is Silver City, I mean. Yeah, that's true. I do have giant's blood. As Leonardo was observing the other members, Judgment Shield Derecho also used her powers as a sheriff to extract the traits of different... Wait. She can use her powers as a sheriff to extract traits of different members and keep them in mind. A noble lady, sailor of a crew member, rather young and introverted, but it's not serious. Rather strong, the leader of at least a mid-sized team, arrogant, of a pretty good family background, desultory, not staid, gloomy, terrified. Amidst their thoughts, the other members finished their self-introduction. The hermit Kalia looked towards the end of the long bronze table and said with a bow, "Honorable Mr. Fool, I didn't receive any new result diary pages this time." Didn't receive. Does this mean that Queen Messick didn't reply? I wonder what Bernadette is busy with. Are we going to find out what she's up to behind the scenes this volume? The fool Klein nodded and calmly replied, begin the transactions then. As he said that, Audrey noticed her reaction of the hermit and the hangman. She realized they had yet to notice Mr. Fool turning Leuchter and Sublime. Was I the one who noticed it? Audrey darted her eyes slightly in thought, feeling somewhat poignant and a little happy. Of course, she also knew that Madame Herbert and Mr. Hangman didn't dare to look at Mr. Fool too much, especially the former most of the time. She only dared to look at the table edge in front of Mr. Fool. Table edges, there's an additional card of blasphemy. Audrey's gaze froze before she retracted in a pleasant surprise. With her intuition as a spectator, she was quite certain that obtaining a new card of blasphemy was likely to be of the same matter as the world German Sparrow's mental problems, but with different outcomes. She hesitated for a moment and observed the era. I have nothing I need. Katlia, Derek, Emlyn, Force had already made preparations and were about to advance. Therefore, they didn't have any requests. Likewise for Olger, who was still digesting his potion. Instead, it was Leonard who had the desire to purchase a mystical item. However, with no one showing him an example, he was momentarily unsure how to begin. All he could do was divert some attention to consider Mr. Fool's needings for result diaries. After selling Tinder, he was lacking in money. Furthermore, having had the experience using Creeping Hunger, he realized that having a powerful mystical item was rather useful. At this point, Force looked at the silent shield before looking opposite her. Mr. Hangman, I have a material that I wish to be made into a mystical item by an artisan. She was referring to the ancient Wraith powder that Shio had. Olger shook his head. The artisan has been controlled by some members of the Rose School of Thought who believe in a primordial moon. That is all. Change the song, bro. The song grew on me after a while. Okay, let's finish the chapter and then we'll change. The artisan, there's only like 3 more sentences and we'll change. The artisan had been controlled by some members of the Rose School of Thought who believe in the primordial moon. That's all I know. The subsequent matters have been left to Ma'am Hermit to handle. Rose School of Thought primordial moon believers left to Ma'am Hermit to handle. Leonard and Shield looked around and suddenly realized that the gathering they were participating in wasn't as loose as they imagined. They were secretly traversing through the shadows of the world and they're like, oh shit, we're in the big leagues now. Chapter 959. Even newcomers are different amongst themselves. Okay, so there's a difference in terms of strengths and powers between Leonard and Shio. Okay. I'm quickly looking at tarot cards off screen before we read the next chapter. I know what TRISSY would be if she joins. TRISSY would be Queen of Swords. Tower doesn't make sense. Queen of Cups? No. I feel like it has to have the title Queen in it. Knight? Lovers? Duh. Is the Lovers a card? Oh, wait, hold up. Oh, wait, hold up. Now I'm seeing the Lord of Mysteries one right here. Oh, wait, okay. Now I'm seeing that there's the World, Judgment, the Sun, the Moon. Whoa, these are all coincidentally together. The Star, the Tower. There's Temperance. She's not the devil and she's not deaf. Is there one called the Lover? Oh, she's definitely... Oh, she is so the Lover. The Lover has both man and woman on the cover with like a figure in front of them doing this. Come on. It's so on the nose. This, oh my, does Cuttlefish draw characters revolving tarot cards? Because he said he wanted to make the series revolving tarot cards. So I feel like when he introduced characters, I feel like he drew, oh, I feel like he drew characters representing their tarot card before that. See, even this doesn't get censored. I'm just going off the persona knowledge. Yeah. You know what? That's a good one. She is definitely going to be the lovers. Even the character art just matches her so perfectly. It's like, look, it's a man and woman. There's like sand behind them or something. Maybe representing her time before she becomes Cheek. The being behind her represents Cheek. All right, that's some very good analysis. All right, now let's read chapter 959. Even newcomers are different amongst themselves. All right, chapter 959, every newcomers are different amongst themselves. Katlia turned her body slightly to the side and looked at the magician. It's a little complicated. I suggest that you wait for another 1 to 2 weeks. I'm unable to promise anything. All I can say is that there should be someone to help you create the mystical item when the time comes. Should be someone. It also means that it might not be the original artisan. Does this mean that let me lower the volume down a bit. Does this mean that she's planning on nurturing an artisan for herself? Or, yeah, because she recruited him, dude. Or could it be that she's thinking of a way to turn the original artisan into a sealed artifact using a machine to create machines? Whoa, that's a little deep. Huh. I like that you're fully willing to forgive TRISSY. I'm not forgiving her. I just want her to join. I don't want her to join because I'm forgiving her. I just want her to join. You know what I still find weird? That she wants to avenge the prince. I still find that weird. Like, she was forced by her will to be there, but did she like actually fall in love? Even Klein brought that up. Like, is such a character trope for like the capturee to fall in love with the one capturing her. I remember him bringing that up. Like, is that Etzik got the Riz? You know what? He did have the Riz. Even though she was technically bigger, he was still able to raise her up. Ma'am Herman is indeed an experienced beyonder. Leonard listened quietly while doing some analysis. It was the first time he was this serious during a meeting. No problem. Forrest had the utmost confidence in Ma'am Herman. After all, she had already obtained the mystical creature blood and was willingly to undergo a qualitative change in time. At this moment, she heard the world say it with a rehearsed voice. If this matter requires my help, you can get my help. To climb the mother tree of desire, abnormal interest in the gray fog, as well as the Emperor Roseau's warning to be careful of the moon, which made him was determined to figure out the secret of transmigration and the door of light. Maybe all, you know what? Maybe all high deities were all prior transmigrators. And they all want access back to the gray fog to go back home, even after like 1,000+ years. Maybe that doesn't make sense because only 3 cocoons hatched. So maybe I'm letting out of my ass. Maybe there's a second gray fog where all these other cocoons hatched, and this is like a second gray fog attempt. Or maybe the Abyss has its own version of a Tarot Club meeting, right? Because it said like the black miasma, the black fog, and this is the gray fog. Maybe the gods are twins and triplets. Easy cooking? Maybe. And maybe they'll be alluded to in COI since there's a book 2 and potentially a book 3. That actually, no, he said he had an idea if he doesn't want to do it, right? Emperor Roseau to be careful of the moon, which made him be determined to figure out the secret of transmigration and the door of light, take the notes of matters involving the Rose School of Thought and the primordial moon believers more than ever before. Furthermore, the artisan was now involved in both matters. Katlia never expected the world to offer his help. After some silence, she nodded slightly. All right, if I'm unable to handle it, I'll seek your help through Mr. Fool. She had deliberately said through Mr. Fool to inform the 2 newcomers that the Tarot Club had a magical way of contacting one another. This was no need for them to be stumped or to be in a dilemma in such aspects. It was something they would understand in due time. You are cooking without the fire? Is that good? Was our cooking so good that the fire wasn't even on? All right. Hold up. You see, and that's why you guys are always throwing me off on the Abyss. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I might be burning the kitchen. I'll chill before I keep speaking. As a pirate admiral with the highest bounty across the 5 seas, as a pirate crew leader of the 100 subordinates, she wasn't doing this solely out of goodwill, nor I wouldn't doubt that. Nor was she worried that the 2 comers would affect the prerogatives of the gathering because of the excessive questions. Instead, it was a way to assert dominance in front of the newcomers. Of course, unless this was of the essence, leaving Katlia no time to set up a ritual, she would, in fact, rather summon Gurmanspar's messengers that troubled Mr. Fool. Seek help through Mr. Fool. She'll vaguely understood something and held back her urge to look at Force. Seek help through Mr. Fool. Leonard's thoughts raced quickly as he made a guess. Seeking that someone had begun, he relaxed a little and deliberated for a few seconds. Then he heard, I need a mystical item. What kind? Audrey answered at the perfect time to prevent an awkward atmosphere from descending upon the sea. Leonard verbally showed his indecision and subconsciously replied, I don't know. He only had such a plan, but he hadn't thought carefully into the details. He only realized that there was a possibility after being pulled into the gathering. Doesn't know, is he an idiot? The full clan who knew Leonard's dissolutories and casualness resisted the urge to laugh and criticize him inwardly. Seeing everyone gaze fall on him with mixed expressions, Leonard immediately felt embarrassed as he hurriedly added, I mean, there's no limits on the type as long as it's geared towards fence, has rather stealth-oriented attributes and lesser negative side effects, it would be fine by me. This was to boost his Nighthawk's control to his full extent. At times, he'd control the target by himself while Palazzaros controlled the mystical item, giving him the day's opponent a lethal strike. Once he became a spirit warlock with a natural spirit or Wraith or shadow sealed in his teeth to aid him, he could do 2 or even 3 things at the same time. Smart as Leonard moment. Electric stove. We were using electric stove. You know what? He's asking too high a price. We'll see if they can actually pull this off. After Mr. Star finished his explanation, Olger didn't harp over the details. He asked roughly what levels needed. Somewhere around a grade 2 sealed artifact, but slightly stronger. Okay, so a high tier grade 2. Corresponding to sequence 5 or 6, Leonard had habitually described the item using the particular of an official Beyonder before switching to more common terminology. At that instant, a thought flashed around the minds of Audrey, Catleo, Olger, and Shield. Mr. Star is an official Beyonder, or at least he once was. Damn, they all picked up on that. From their point of view, although Beyonders that didn't belong to any official organizations would at times use the concept of the grades when describing sealed artifacts, they wouldn't consider using such a vague description with precision was needed and expressing their thoughts and requests. One would often choose a method of explaining that was more direct and easier to understand. Therefore, the conclusion easily appeared. This way, things turned way more interesting. Now it's definitely interesting. Mr. World is actually very familiar with an official Beyonder. How did they get to know each other? Was he a former Beyonder? Okay, we're getting one step closer to Audrey realizing who he is. Why would he rope in an official Beyonder into the Terror Club? Audrey didn't say a word as she maintained her state as spectator while enjoying herself. At this moment, Olger tearfully acknowledged a mystical item at a sequence 5 costs at least 9,000 pounds. For one that matches your request, it can typically exceed 12,000 pounds. Very frank, Leonard nodded. I understand. After hearing his reply, Klein quickly facepalmed as he sighed inwardly. Aren't you showing your hidden card to Mr. Hanged Man by doing so? I dare bet that if he has something suitable, the price will definitely be above 12,000 pounds. Aside from the 7,000 pounds from Tinder, Leonard still actually has other savings. Damn, he rich. With the guidance of Grandpa from the Marauder Pathway, he has likely amassed quite a bit. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to purchase Tinder. I get it. He's not afraid of being fleeced because he still can purchase from the Hermits of Fate. He can compare the traits and prices from both sides, but the problem is that the gathering happens once every half a year. It's totally not at the Tarot Gathering's price. At this moment in time, Klein couldn't help but consider sealing the items to the dear poet that had repeated effects or would be little use after becoming a demigod. He then heard Mr. Hanged Man reply, did I update this by the way? Yes, I did. Okay, thank God everything's updated. He then heard Mr. Hangman reply in a deep and calm manner. All right, I'll keep an eye out for you. Okay, Catlea and the other members expressed their stance as well. Following that, there weren't any transactions, allowing the gathering to automatically enter the free exchange segment. Without waiting for Mr. Hangman to inquire, Derek raised his hand and said, I'm already back in the city of Silver. The chief has informed me that we would begin another round of preliminary explorations of the Giant King's court shortly. Does this mean that I should make use of this time to advance to become a priest of light? Giant King's Court, explorations of the Giant King's Court. Leonard cast his gaze to the pubescent youth, one seat away from him to his surprise. From what he knew, the Giant King's Court had already been destroyed to the long ago in the Second Epoch. Palazzaros, as an angel, he had already said that it had vanished from the rivers of time. To his surprise, the son of the Terror Club was about to explore the area, but none of the members were astonished. Yes, not one of them. Leonard subconsciously looked at Miss Judgment, who was also a newcomer, but he realized that she was apparently aware of this and had remained rather calm. This Miss Magician has privately kept Miss Judgment up to speed. Only Leonard doesn't know anything. The fool Klein leaned into his seat and seriously analyzed himself. After he pulled Leonard above the gray fog and assigned him the starter card, he had ignored him. He didn't even write him or introduce the Terror Club's general situation to him. Compared to the woman, men truly aren't meticulous with the details. Klein was just about to control the world Gurman spread to explain the star Leonard when he saw the moon glance at the poet beside him and say with a rather faint smile, "The Giant King's court is at the forsaken land of gods." After saying that, he ignored Leonard's reaction. He ignored his reaction, and he said to the son, "Have you obtained the ingredients to the priest of light?" I'm sorry, was this Emlyn trying to one-up him? He's like, yeah, I'm cooler than you. Oh, even newcomers are different amongst themselves. Emlyn's still technically a newcomer since he joined in volume 3. No, I lied. He joined at the end of volume 2. Emlyn just flexing, he knows more. That's exactly, dude, his ego, I love it, dude. It's like, first it was Sun, now it's like all the newcomers. Hey, yeah, it's related. It's related to that. Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, okay, I guess you're not that special. Why are you here? Emlyn just wants to show off as usual. I love it. I hope he keeps showing off until the end of the series. It's so fucking funny. Emlyn just trying to aura farm. He doesn't have ancient aura, but I'll take it. He knew that someone had only received the formula just... Wait, I skipped the line. After saying that, he ignored Leonard's reaction, said to the son, he even ignored his reaction. That's fucking funny. Have you obtained ingredients to the priest? Have you obtained ingredients to the priest of light? Oh, he didn't know that? Okay. He knew that someone had only received the formula just 1 or 2 weeks ago. Yes, I've gotten it from Mr. World. Derek answered honestly, but he didn't go into details of the transaction. At this moment, Leonard's mind was filled with the words, "Forsaken lands of gods and Giant King's court." He had a feeling that he had walked out of a fantasy or myth. So what the fuck did I get myself into, dude? He instinctively reassured his knowledge of the Terror Club, realizing the weight of the simple words of how the members come from different places. Even the Church of the Seven Deities aren't able to find the Forsaken Lands of Gods, but the Terror Club can do so. It has even roped in a member from there, right, Zik Eggers, who I believe wields the Death Card, doesn't appear at the gathering. Apart from the members here, there are others that come directly under Mr. Fool. It's, as I first imagined, it's a secret organization that might develop... Wait. Everybody knows and presumes that the world is a blessed of the fool. But Klein doesn't know... Leonard doesn't know that yet. He just believes that there's a connection between Klein, Gurman, and Azik. But he doesn't believe that he doesn't know yet that everybody refers to him as a blessed of the fool yet, right? No, that isn't known yet. I guess he really is a newcomer. It's not much weaker than the Aura Order of the Rose Skull thought, and it might even be stronger in certain aspects. This really is a divine council, Amidst Lenar's thoughts, all agreed were Derek's guess. That's what it thought. Exploring the Giant King Court is a very dangerous matter. He wishes that you quickly grow stronger to resist the Elder Shepherd level. Derek nodded in a vague acknowledgement. I get it. Thank you, Mr. Hankman. He then shared information about what he saw in Noise City. Living Leonard and Shield dumbfounded. They had no idea how such a strange state and atmosphere was generated. However, the fool client noticed something familiar. He felt that Noise City and the foggy town resembled each other to a certain degree. He felt that Noise City and the foggy town resembled each other to a certain degree. Just like how the Giant's King Court slowly resembles the Gray Fog, correct? The plot thickens. The walking crowd was suspected to be a light. So there's a physical location. No, there's a physical location, and then there's like a mystical location. Okay, no. Sorry. Dots, maybe? No? Okay, let's keep reading. The walking crowd... Sorry, we burned the kitchen with that. The walking crowd was suspected to be lifeless marionettes. Could it be that there's a high sequence item of the seer pathway or some monster there? Oh, sequence 3? Klein didn't say a word as he silently took note of Noise City. At this moment, Shield glanced at the world and said, showcasing some goodwill, MI9 has recently been investigating Gurman Sparrow origins. He says Noise is similar to the Foggy Town due to the silhouettes appearing and doing weird stuff. Okay, not in appearance. Okay, but what's going... Okay, thank you, Cammy. Thank you for clarifying that. Not necessarily in appearance. He felt... Yeah, he noticed something familiar. He felt that Noise City and the Foggy Town resembled each other to a certain degree. Thank you. The Fool Sigh. Not the Fool's Lampoon? Okay. Chapter 960 of Lord of the Mysteries. The Fool Sigh. Chapter 960. Let's keep reading before I stall and have a tangent and talk about Red Dead all day. Chapter 960 is called The Fool's Sigh. Okay? Upon hearing the name Sparrow, all the members on both sides of the long bronze table looked at the world. No one spoke or interjected. The more or less knew that the crazy adventurer Sparrow had once again done something huge, such as killing Admiral Ludwell. However, Audrey didn't believe that this was the main reason why he would suffer mental problems, and the way they acted made Leonard instantly realize the fact. Everyone in the Terror Club knew that the world was Sparrow. Everybody knows that. Okay? Klein's disguise is really well done. However, why does he let the other members know of his identity as Sparrow? Everyone in the Terror Club knew that the world was Sparrow. Klein's disguise is really well done. However, why does he let the other members know of his identity as Sparrow? Isn't it common sense to hide one's background at such gatherings? Amidst his puzzlement, Leonard heard the blurry figure of the world reply with a hoarse voice. What clues has MI9 obtained? Shio showed no shame in betraying MI9. She's like, fuck him, dude. I only did it for the money, dude. Shio showed no shame in betraying MI9 as she replied frankly. They have confirmed that the identity of Sparrow is fabricated and that it was sourced from Backland. Yep, and we got the body from Sharon. Indeed, he was previously known as Sherlock Moriarty. He became Sparrow after leaving Backland. However, Sherlock Moriarty isn't his real identity either. Damn, it keeps going back, dude. Good morning, dude. Good morning from China. Love your videos. Dude, Kyo Anderson. Thank you, man. Dude, love you too, bro. Thank you so much. Much love from the States. Much love from America, dude. That's so awesome. Leonard subconsciously served the air. It's so crazy, dude. I find it so weird. I'm not used to that. I find it so weird that there's people watching me from like outside of my bubble, you know? I find that I still haven't like that has not digested yet. There's people watching from like China and like from like Europe or like East Coast. It's like that's so new to me. It's so crazy. Leonard subconsciously surveyed the area and realized that although the other members weren't surprised, they didn't seem to show any signs of realization. Hence, he believed that their knowledge of Klein was only at the utmost surface. Under Klein's control, the world Sparrow chuckled and answered, amidst Justin's information, there's no need to bother about such matters. To him, to figure out the fake identity of Sparrow was given. One had to first capture Queen Mystic Bernadette, or one had to obtain news of Sharon from her. Clearly, the level of difficulty made it nearly impossible. Russian dolls? So far, no. Kyle? So far, no. What did he ask? Does Emlyn ever figure out Sherlock and German's the same person? Oh, he's so dumb. Is he not figured? He hasn't figured it out. And he is all high and mighty. I didn't even catch that. Okay, that's so fucking funny. In comparison, if they did the same as Leonard, starting off from the events in which Detective Sherlock Moriarty, what the hell did I say? Starting off from the events in which Detective Sherlock Moriarty was involved in, there was a chance of them figuring out more. However, since MI9 had chosen the wrong direction, Klein was happy to see them take the futile route. Mr. Rold is unperturbed and very confident. She retracted her gaze and didn't continue. At this moment, Audrey deliberated and asked, Mr. Rold, will you be returning to Backland in the future? Will you still use the identity of Dwayne Tontis? As a qualified psychiatrist, she obviously wasn't going to inform the mental problem of the world to the other members of the Terror Club. She only wanted to confirm if he would still return to the low-end charity Bursey Foundation. That way, she could be in closer contact with him in the real world, allowing her for a better checkup. She didn't conceal the matter about Dwayne Tontis since the original members already knew of it. As for Mr. Starr, he was already clearly familiar with Mr. World. As for Shio, she had forced to inform her ahead of time. Upon hearing Miss Justice's words, Leonard nearly couldn't believe his ears as he felt a little confused. Klein Moretti is equivalent. Oh, wait. He didn't know that. He said technically they're different. He's like, wait, Klein, what the fuck, dude? You lied to me. Klein Moretti is equivalent to Dwayne Tontis. I've once asked Dwayne Tontis to his face about Klein Moretti. No, it's impossible. Dwayne Tontis is an undying creature who has lived since the 4th epoch. The way he acted is sufficient proof. Old man said the same too. At that moment, Leonard was unable to control his voluptuous emotions. He instinctively rejected the fact that Miss Justice had conveyed. If that had appeared here was his astral projection, he felt that his expressions would be rather obvious, oscillating between red and white. I feel like Audrey's going to pick that up. Opposite Leonard, Shield looked up as well, looking at Mr. World with puzzlement. He's Dwayne Tontis. Dwayne Tontis is Sparrow. She's like, oh no, I made fun of his bladder. I even accepted his butler's mission. I even protected him before. I even pitied him. Oh shit. He can squash me to death with one hand. Oh, that's so funny, dude. Shield then turned her head and glared at Force like, yo, the fuck, bro? You didn't tell me? I don't dare to say too much about Mr. World. I could only briefly mention it a little before. This is a funny ass meeting. Force turns her eyes and the thing I love so much about the series is when characters' worlds like overlap and they start interacting with each other outside of the Terror Club. I find that so fun and interesting, dude. And it's definitely funny right here. Forrest turned her eyes away in guilt as she mumbled silently. Alder and Ketlia figured out something from the duo's reaction. Miss Magician and Miss Judgment knew each other. Fuck, dude. Now they figured this part out. Miss Magician and Miss Judgment knew each other in the real world. Miss Judgment had once interacted with Dwayne Dantes before, but she didn't know that he was Gurman Sparrow. As a senior spectator, Audrey noticed the abnormalities of the Star and Judgment without a doubt. Immediately, she understood that she had made too many assumptions. Audrey, you need to reflect on this, she said to herself in embarrassment, and attempted to make up for it before Mr. World spoke. Remember that Force won't mention much about Mr. World. That's true. She kept that to herself. Dwayne Dantes is a public identity. At times, it will be Mr. World, and at times, it would be the other bless of Mr. Fool. So that's how it is. Makes sense. Leonard's mind stared as he instantly accepted Mistress's explanation and figured out many different matters. The Dwayne Dantes that appeared during the period before the breaching of St. Samuel Cathedral, Shannon's Gate, was likely Klein. The period before and after that was the other bless of Mr. Fool, that deaf console. Indeed, he's an undying creature who lived since the fourth epoch, old man's old friend. Yes, it might be other bless I'm not aware of, but their levels definitely aren't too low. Oh, other bless. Does that mean Klein is also considered... okay, so he figured it out right here. Does that mean that Klein is also considered Mr. Fool's blessed? Yes. It's no wonder Mr. Fool said that he comes here and participates in the gathering, but the experiences are different from mine. It's because he's a blessed and enjoys the benediction of Mr. Fool, so he also has the ancient aura. It's why old man doesn't realize that Dwayne Dantes is played by different people. He's so close to the truth, dude. Oh man, but to Judgment, like, he's glazing everybody, but he's just not glazing Klein enough. You know, he's not glazing him enough, like how Alger glazes the Fool. If he glazes him even more, he probably would have like, wait a second, no, that doesn't make sense. But to Judgment, Shio Dwayne Dantes being public identity or him being Gurman Sparrow was not her concern. The reason why she overreacted was because after realizing the truth, she felt embarrassed at all her various thoughts back then. Seeing the atmosphere return to normal, Klein heaved a sigh of relief. Oh, that's what's called the fool's... Was it the fool's sigh? He's like, ah. Klein heaved with a sigh of relief, inwardly in control of the world Gurman Sparrow to answer Miss Justice's question. Yes. That's all he said. Yes. And yet so far away. Yet so far away, dude. When the time comes, there might be certain matters that need all of your help. All of your help. When he finished the second half of his sentence, the world swept his gaze across Justice, Magician, Judgment, the Star, and the Moon. He has plans for something in Backland. Audrey instantly understood Mr. World was getting at. She momentarily felt excited, but also felt a little worried. She was excited because she was about to participate in a secret operation that all the participants didn't seem to have any ties with, to the point of not even knowing each other. This was something she had always looked forward to. Her worry stemmed from whether the operation would have any threat to Backland safety or if it would bring harm to the innocent. As for the... man, my legs are so sore, man. I'm so sore from leg day. As for the danger to herself, she wasn't worried. She believed that Mr. World would arrange for the mission to be held in the outskirts of the city, provide key information, or cause any serious misdirection of the target without needing her direct participation or fighting. Emlyn was the second person to read between the lines, and this was the result of his innate aversion towards troublesome matters. Will it be troublesome? He thought with a frown without saying a word. While the other members came to realization, Alger took a deep breath and took out the world Gurman Sparrow and said, I recently received news that the traitor of the Church of the Aeronite, Archbishop Insingwell, was killed in West Balham. Before that, he had already become a demigod. As for the sealed artifact 008, which had been stolen, it's unknown whose hands it's in. The only thing that can be certain is that the battlefield was cleared by the Church of the Aeronite. The Hanged Man is very updated on news. It's only been a few days. The Church should keep this secretly confidential. Yeah, how do they know, dude? At 7 a.m. in the morning? Yo, I am late. No, you're okay, Varsh. Damn, it's so early for you guys. We're like basically like halfway up. We're basically like 12 hours apart, man. That's crazy. Okay, maybe a little bit late. It has been like 10 chapters. This was the first time Audrey and company were learning about news. They could only determine that the matter was rather important from the word Archbishop 008 and demigod. But since it had nothing to do with them, there wasn't any stimulus. They weren't too intrigued. As for Ketlia, she had a deep impression and understanding of the Grade Zero sealed artifact. She planned on seeking out information via Queen Mystic at the Moses ascetic order after she returned to the real world. Amidst a brief silence, the full Klein steadily extended his right hand to grab the table surface. he felt that he needed to warn all the members. In the coming years, the waves of times would come flooding in. Upon hearing that, all the members straightened their backs and made them even straighter before turning the seat of the honor in the long brown stable. Even the newly joined Leonard and Shio were no exception. It was almost instinctive. Let me lower the volume down just a bit. It's a little bit loud again. It was almost instinctive. They heard the profound and lofty figure chuckle amidst the gray fog. The times have changed as a result. The times have changed because of this. Integwell's matter is a key to something. Although it involves a grade 0 sealed artifact, Aldgir, who had shared on the news, never expected Mr. Fool to place so much emphasis on it. He was momentarily unsure of what to make out of it. 10:50 p.m. over here where I am. Oh shit, it's pretty late for you. It's later than me. Leonardo, who had participated in the matter regarding Insigwell, felt the same. He knew how important and terrifying grade 0 sealed artifacts was, but he never expected that what happened that day would change the times. While Audrey and company wore blank looks, they focused fully. Even Derek couldn't help but take on an attentive look and attentive posture. The full client severed the area and said with a laugh, Adam is one step closer to being divine. Shit. Damn, it is early for you, dude. The full R farming? Warning by informing. All right, next chapter. I think we're going to finish the Terror Club, and then I'm going to end stream right here. We'll end the video once we finish the Terror Club. I think that's the goal. We're going to try and get to the end. Chapter 961 is called Warning by Information. Adam is one step closer to being a divine, to being divine. And thank you guys. We're almost at 3,600 subs. Dude, holy shit. If you haven't already subscribed, you need to eat more. I know. We're going to eat right now. I have some rice and chicken already pre-cooked. I mean, not pre-cooked. I already have like meal prepped food. So we're just going to reheat it right now once we're done. Adam is one step closer to being divine. Such a simple sentence instantly sent tumultuous waves throughout every member of the Terror Club. Other than Lar, the other members, including Shio, who had been briefed of the important points by the magician, immediately recalled the information regarding Adam. Ancient sun god City of Silver's creators, brothers of blasphemer Amun, suspected to be one of the kings of angels and the mythical figure who had existed before the cataclysm, had become active in the real world once again, and he was one step closer to being divine. This, to make Mr. Fool sigh, it means that Adam is probably just one step short of reaching the divine throne, sequence 0. There's a chance that he might take that step at any moment. Oller subconsciously came to a conclusion as he hurriedly clasped his hands and couldn't help but have thoughts run through his mind. A sequence 0 true god is about to be born. There are still births of true gods in the 5th epoch. This will be the first true god since true god this epoch. We'll just wait till Klein hits sequence 0. That's gonna be badass. With deities no longer able to descend upon the real world, it's unbelievable that a sequence 0 would still appear. Olger always found himself ambitious, with him now setting his sights on sequence 2 to become an angel. But after hearing about Adam, he still found it unacceptable. One had to know that the last one to become a sequence 0 true god was the former god of craftsmanship, the present god of seamless machinery, and that happened to be in the late 4th epoch. Yeah, it's been 1,400 years. Since the 5th epoch, over 1,300 years, there hadn't been any new existences reaching the divine throne. What do you think deities can't descend anymore, by the way? Wiz got a whole theory on it. Well, I mean, what we heard at the end of Volume 4, that Amon would be the trigger for, like, Evernight to descend, or for, like, a god to descend. I feel like there has to be such, like, a grand... It's, okay, I'm not talking about the Abyss, right? Hold up. But, like, maybe if you have a Sequence 1 Beyonder, use mysticism or whatever, they can form a bridge between the real world and the world where they reside for them to descend. That's probably it. Like, they probably need to form, like, a link or a bridge. Like, they probably can't descend willingly. That, you know what? That probably makes sense. That's probably why they were able to descend so frequently back in the day, because there were so many high sequence beyonders. Like, high sequence beyonders are so rare nowadays. So back in the day, when there were so many high sequence beyonders, like at sequence 1, demigod, and like an avatar. Maybe not like an avatar. No, I don't think they necessarily possess them. Fucking shit, yes, they do possess them, because we know in the last volume, Evernight was able to possess, quote unquote, her. So maybe Adam does something, he forms a bridge, and somebody from the Abyss. Don't deny theories. No, we're not denying theories. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's how they descend. And I don't know how I feel about seeing what's it called, Evernight's human figure in episode 1. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. Now I'm telling Zep, Oh, he was telling Zet something. What does Zet say? Like an avatar. Maybe not necessarily. I feel like it kind of would be like an avatar. Same thing. Because then they would inhabit the host. Like, they would inhabit the host in the real world. Kind of just like how Klein leaves his body above the gray... Oh, maybe it's kind of how, like, Klein leaves his body above the gray fog. And he can use his spirit form to, like, travel backland. Zed's talking about another theory? Okay, well, we'll just leave it at that. But there has to be some bridge. And, like, currently... Amon is the only one that can bridge that link between whatever Sequence 0 deity. That's probably him. To him, only Sequence 0 could... Wait, I skipped a line. For Shio and the other members of the Myriad, I just read this. What was it? Brothers Amon. Living in a situation where more than 1,000 years of history setting the foundation. Let me reread this part since we're talking about that. Not Easy was talking about another? Okay. No, we're good then. For Shio and the other members had admired reactions. On the other hand, they were shocked that Adam was attempting to achieve divinity, never expecting such a matter to happen in the 5th epoch. On the other hand, they were worried for their present life. After all, be it Emlyn from the Sanguine or Audrey who lived amongst the Lowen kingdoms, setting the foundation, setting upper class, all of them lived in the 5th epoch, living in a situation which had more than 1,000 years of history setting the foundation. They didn't dare to have any sacrilegious thoughts towards true gods. Even when facing evil gods like the true creator, they still felt a deep sense of fear and awe, acknowledging their level of loftiness. Therefore, they couldn't believe that a god would soon appear. They could imagine what would happen next. In their eyes, the fool was a reawakening ancient god, an existence who had originally sat at the throne of Sequence 0. One step closer to being divine, to becoming a god, Derek was mostly excited, as though he could see hope and have a target to strive for. To him, only a Sequence 0 could save the City of Silver. Adam, becoming a god. Although Leonardo didn't know who Adam was, just a simple word of being one step closer to being divine was easy to understand. True. He connected it to the ordinary priest who had appeared after the battle at the end, had picked up 008 from Fort Klein. That's Adam, or a subordinate of Adam. No, 008 is a Grade 0 sealed artifact. Only Adam, who's very close to the divine throne, can do it personally with great certainty. It's no wonder the battle with Insigwil was easier than I imagined. I thought the best outcome would be me and Klein dragging Insigwil into hell together. Who's Adam? Damn. We drag him into hell together? No, that better not be foreshadowing, man. Who's Adam? Why haven't I heard of him? Perhaps a result of being parasitized by an angel, allowing him to know some of the secrets and develop of the 4th epoch. Leonard had a deeper understanding of Adam's path to being divine. The impact he felt wasn't too great, with most of his feeling puzzlement and curiosity over Adam's true identity. At this moment, the fool didn't speak again or give further explanations. It was as though he was simply warning the members to make preparations for the change of times. Amidst the confusion, wandering thoughts, the world-given spirit glanced at the star Leonard and simply said, Adam is the son of the ancient sun god, Blasphemer Amon's brother. That's a mouthful. He's like, what the fuck? Leonard immediately jumped in fright as he failed to control his expression. He had a deep impression of Amon, and he had a deep trauma from Amon because old man's description, and Adam was Amon's brother. So it's very possible the level of horror was likely the same between the two brothers. The world ignored the star's reaction and continued. It can be confirmed now that Adam is one of the 8 kings of angels, titled Angel of Imagination. And I feel like the quote fits him perfectly. He is ranked on par with an angel of time Amon. So if Adam is using the quill that can write things into existence, I wonder what sealed artifact will be equivalent to Adam if he's angel. No, if he's angel of time. Angel of time Amon. It has to be something that deals with time, man. Maybe he has like the world, right? The world, though, like from JoJo? I don't know, man. The reason for him targeting Insigwil is to obtain 008 to make up for any shortfalls for his path to being divine. And his plan succeeds. And maybe the Gray Fog is Amon's plan to being divine. Angel of Imagination. Adam is a king of angels from Spectator Pathway. Yes. Audrey instantly connected this to the Dragon King of Anklewell titled Dragon of Imagination. And she had long known the Mind Dragons represented the Spectator Pathway. Oh, Adam is probably going to have a dragon form. His mythical form will be close to a dragon with wings. Hold up. Zawardo? Yeah, dude. Oh, shit. As for Leonard, and you know what's crazy? Oh, my God. I can already see it. Once we get to, like, high-level fights, they'll be able to fight each other in their mythical forms, and they don't have to worry about keeping their eyes closed. Because they're a mythical level, they don't, like, one can't make another mad because they're both already at that level. Oh shit, we're probably gonna get like mythical form fights. Oh, that's gonna be good. I'm getting lightheaded. It's like half hunger and half hype and anticipation. He is ranked on par with an Angel Time. The reason for him targeting Integral is to obtain... I just read this. Angel Imagination. Oh, I got lightheaded. Adam is the king of angels from the Spectred Pathway. Audrey instantly connected the Dragon King Anklewood's title, Dragon of Imagination. Peak fights. I'm excited. I'm ready, dude. Fucking throw it at me, dude. I'm ready. I can take it. And she had long known... Actually, I probably won't be able to follow right away. It's going to take me so while. Once we get to where there are already, I'm ready. And since she had long known that mind... Wait a second. Does Klein have a mythical form? He's a demigod, yes? No, or is that a sequence too? And she had no, yes. What the fuck I'm saying? Oh my god, what's Klein's mythical form? What the fuck? Wait, yes. Wait, what would his mythical... You guys can send it to me already. It's not a spoiler. You guys can send me his particle... You can send me his... Oh, I lied. Actually, don't send it to me. I don't want to fucking know yet. I don't want to know what it could look like. And she had long known that the Mind Dragons represented the Spectre Pathway, and for Leonardo, another comprehension obstacle appeared before him. He had been stunned by the content of the King of Angels, but he was too embarrassed to ask. He had planned on taking an old man to help when he awakened. Alger pondered over Gurmensburg's words as his expression turned slightly odd. He probed, "You seem to have witnessed the matter." Just as he said that, all of them heard a familiar hoarse laughter. Honestly, I think the mythical fight is going to be very chaotic. I can see it being a little chaotic. After German Sparrow finished laughing, he looked at the star and said, and I'm not saying it in a bad way, that's going to be chaotic. I think it's going to be chaotically hype or chaotically awesome. At the star and said as though it was nothing, "The murder of Insigua was committed by me and my partner." Catlea's mind instantly went blank. She could accept that German Sparrow could easily finish off Admiral Hell, but she couldn't imagine that he would one day kill a real Sequence 4 demigod. Catlea quickly calmed down because with a King of Angels involved in the battle, it's possible that a Sequence 5 could kill off a heavily injured demigod due to the various coincidences. Furthermore, he had a partner. Audrey read the confidence from the world's tone. She couldn't help but ask out of curiosity, "Mr. World, have you already become a demigod?" The world Gurman didn't give a direct answer as he chuckled. "In the future, all of you can entrust matters involving demigods to me." Damn, dude. Oh, so hype. Every member present figured out the meaning in between the lines. He had become a genuine Sequence 4 demigod. Furthermore, he was the kind who had the ability to kill the peers at his level. I can't wait for Easy to stumble those crazy fights. Man, it's going to be... It's going to be so hard. I was already struggling so much at the end of Volume 4. But we picked up at the end. But I'm ready, man. Just throw it at me, dude. At that instant, Catlea became abnormal. I'm getting lightheaded, man. This is crazy. I'm getting hyped. At that instant, Catlea became abnormally calm. She tried hard to recall everything she had seen and heard regarding German Sparrow. She was very certain that he was only Sequence 6 before the visit to the ruins of the battlefield gods. He relied on the glove to match Sequence 5. As for German Sparrow searching for mermaids without hunting any of them, it implied that it was a requirement of the ritual. This meant that he had indeed advanced to Sequence 5 back then. His various performances after provided the point. Today, it had only been about 3 months since German Sparrow stepped into the ruins of the battlefield of the gods, but he had already advanced to Sequence 4, becoming a demigod existence. The overturned Catlea understood of the world. She wasn't too old, with her age being less than 30, but to reach Sequence 5 and gain the title of Admiral Stars, it took her about 7 to 8 years. She is so jealous. It was only in the past 1 or 2 years that she had the confidence to attempt to breach the gate to become a demigod. With her, I feel like she's going to be the next demigod. With her starting to make preparations, she believed that she was already far ahead of the pack. Mr. World is impressive. He became a demigod so quickly. Derek sincerely felt joy. His idolization for Mr. World grew more intense as he hoped that he could be like him, becoming a demigod at the fastest speed possible. Audrey was both alarmed and delighted. Following that, she gained an understanding towards the abnormality in German Sparrow's mental state. From the looks of it, his low spirits, gloomy and depressed feelings happened after he became a demigod. Those are the negative effects accumulated from the potions. It's just like how I nearly lost control when I became a psychiatrist. Also, after becoming a Sequence 4 and gaining godhood, he could naturally penetrate more of reality. He then realized that he had been sleeping for a very long time. His family had passed away, making him lose his goals. This really put into perspective how Go Decline is. Yeah, man. It fucking took Catlea 8 years. And she's like, "I think I'm ready." And he fucking did the shit quick. Klein is just way too good, man. He makes, like, Klein literally makes this shit look easy when you think about it. Like, I know it hasn't been easy. It's been a hard journey. But he kind of makes it look easy also at the same time. It's like a double-sided cone, man. It's hard, but he also makes it look easy because he's so smart. His family had to pass away, making him lose his goals. How pitiful. With his... I feel weird every time Audrey says that. How pitiful. Like, she views people very pitifully. How pitiful. With his warm nature, he must have had deep feelings for his family and friends. However, I'm so envious. Does being Mr. Fool's blessed make one advance so quickly? I also wish to become a demigod early. Mr. Fool mentioned that the times have changed. As a result, it leaves me fretting. While Emily and the other members were still in shock, Olger, who also shared the same feelings and felt deep envy and jealousy towards German Sparrow, had other thoughts. As for Mr. Fool's blessed, German Sparrow embroilment with the King of Angels in 008 matter clearly isn't an accident. On the contrary, it might be more reasonable that it's a mutual plan between Angel Imagination, Adam, and Mr. Fool. That would explain it? No shot. It's not easy, but he makes it look easy. Yes. He is him. Yes. Because Klein, he is getting closer to he is making it look easy. True. Two mythical figures that existed before the cataclysm. One is awakening, the other is making an advancement. The two secretly coming together. Amidst his thoughts, Olger had another idea. Since Adam had attained 008 and opened the door to the divine throne, what about Mr. Fool? What benefit did he get in this matter? Subconsciously, Olger turned his body slightly and bowed his head to look at the seat of honor. He didn't dare look directly, and he could only look through the corner of his eyes. I wonder, man. What is gonna happen? Okay, before we keep stalling, I apologize. Chapter 962 is called Being Known. Almost instantly, Olger discovered that Mr. Fool was somewhat different than before. In the past, although Mr. Fool wasn't distant and profound, making him appear unfathomable, as though he was looking down upon everything from above, that was all. It wasn't like he was now. Even though he wasn't doing anything, he seemed to have fused with the entire space, a clear expression of him being the ruler at the pinnacle level. Sweeping his gaze, Olger saw the third card of blasphemy as he felt more certain of his guesses. Indeed, Mr. Fool and the Angel of Imagination, Adam, had cooperated to machinate in Zingwill's demise. One of them attained 008, making him take one step closer to being a god, while the other attained the various benefits in the card of blasphemy and regained a substantial amount of his strength. Okay, he's so close to the truth. The times will change as a result. At that instant, Olger had a deeper understanding of what Mr. Fool had just said. The other members undoubtedly noticed him turning his head. Sorry, I burped. And they realized that he was looking at Mr. Fool. After a brief moment of surprise, they made a sudden realization at different speeds. Mr. Fool was aware of the Angel of Imagination, Adam, plot against Inziguel from the very beginning and had sent his blessing. Olger glazing as usual. Inziguel from the very beginning and had sent his blessed to cooperate, had even provided a certain level of help. If that weren't the case, how could a recently advanced demigod participate in a matter that involved the King of Angels grade 0 artifact? Alright, we're good now. The obtaining of the card of blasphemy, Mr. World Advance, Instant Goal's death, the meeting of the Angel of Imagination, Adam, these all happened in 1 week. This means that the relationship between them is tightly intertwined. Not really intertwined. Not really. My previous intuition was right. The obtaining of a new card of blasphemy and the appearance of an abnormally in Mr. World's mental state were the different outcomes of the same matter. Audrey nodded very slightly as she confirmed her theory. Leonardo was increasingly convinced that Instant Goal's matter was more complicated than he had imagined. Apart from the King of Angels, Adams, there was likely other important figures of similar levels appearing back then. Otherwise, Amon's brother, the son of the ancient sun god, had no need to seek out Mr. Fool's help. After all, no matter how powerful or terrifying 008 was, it was incapable of comparing with the blasphemer as described by the old man. As Adam and Amon were likely on par with each other, the evil spirit that Klein had pulled into the underworld probably isn't simple. It's definitely not something that's being far from the hunter pathway. He's kind of close, yeah. Would be enough to describe it. Klein participation in the matter regarding Inziguel isn't solely for revenge, but is also due to Mr. Fool's orders. As Leonard sighed, he didn't generate any negative feelings. Instead, he was secretly relieved. From his point of view, this was a very ordinary situation. Mr. Fool's agreement is conveying such a gathering to establish a corresponding organization while hosting it as a deity was definitely not because he solely wishes to make the area more lively or being done out of goodwill. He definitely has his goals and he needs that too many he's in his. More likely or being done out of goodwill. He definitely has his goals and needs that he wishes blessed. That he wished blessed like Klein. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Wished blessed like Klein or members like him could complete. Therefore, seeking revenge of Inziguel and accepting Mr. Fool's mission wasn't in conflict. The latter didn't reduce the former's meanings of importance. As for why he was relieved, it was because Leonardo believed that Mr. Fool's clear expression of his goal has made it better than having everything chaotic and unknown. He didn't need to guess or wait for the trepidations. He originally had intense wariness for Pelazaros precisely because he wasn't sure of his true motives. Oh, that is true. At this moment, the Fool clan didn't say a word. He didn't confirm or deny, just like you guys do when we have theories. He didn't confirm or deny the members' guesses and theories controlling the world. He made him continue. Adam might have established a very secretive organization, and it might have secretly been straining the development of times. Many important figures you might never have expected of members of this organization. They would machinate one matter from another. Also, from leaving this place, do not say or write down Adam's name, including his title. Try not to think about such matters, because he has the trait of any mentions of it will be known. The more you know about him, the more he might know about you. This is something similar to 008. True. After hearing Mr. World's description, Audrey instantly recalled the learning of the mysterious organization of Mr. Fool, the Twilight Hermit Order. What's going on with my voice? This made her quickly come up with a corresponding theory. The King of Angels of Atoms was the leader of the Twilight Hermit Order. The Angel Imagination was a member of the Spectator Pathway. Likewise, for 008, therefore any mention of it will be known was a beyond or power of this pathway at high sequences. Likewise, the more you know of it, the more it knows of you. Impressive, but this won't be rather noisy. Audrey momentarily looked forward to it with envy while also feeling worried and puzzled. Any mention of it will be known. So the organization behind the assassination of Duke Negan, the other backer behind Quillingus, was established by the King of Angels Adams. Audrey was first somewhat enlightened before his expression fell. He began to suspect that the primitive island that had previously explored was related to the secret organization. This was because Quillingus had once ventured deep into and described several items. Furthermore, the final disappearance of the island had resembled the powers of dragon imagination described by the sun. Scary? Why are we talking about puberty? Wait, what did I miss? They be thinking too much? Yeah, he, his, him, he, his. Yeah, that was definitely a tongue twister. This must sound weird for audio only people. Like, what does he mean? I should start, your voice, I mean? We should start emphasizing it. Oh, my voice. Oh, why is it changing? Puberty? I get you now. Wow, that was such a delayed reaction. I apologize. Putting two together, Arlger couldn't help but come up with such a theory as he made a deeper realization that Mr. Fool's cooperation with the Angel Imagination had started when he and Gerben Sparrow stepped into the primitive island. He was more convinced that it was the truth because after the existence in that island ruined, awkward, the only thing that happened was a sigh. He and Gerben Sparrow weren't stopped from leaving. So that's how it is. The way important figures set up their ploys and true well concealed. I didn't notice it at all back then. The games between gods are truly complicated. Perhaps only Sequence 1 Beyonders, even Kings of Angels, are qualified to participate. Alligator sighed and he felt a baffling sense of desire. Forrest had already forgotten the mysterious organizations which Mr. Fool had mentioned previously. Only when he heard any mention of it will it be known did she recall that it was related to Duke Negan's assassination. However, she wasn't concerned about this problem but something else. Back when she was informing Shio about the general situation of the Terror Club and general knowledge, she had mentioned Adam's name. Wait, hold up. So because she knows of Adam, oh, she's dead. Oh, she was next. She was gonna die this volume because she mentioned Adam or Force. Adam has a trait of any mention will be known. This Shio and I are known by him. Force instantly felt horrified as she couldn't help but turn her head and cast her gaze on Shio like we fucked up. She had learned that Adam was a son of the creator from Mam Hermit. Furthermore, she had never emphasized to not mention the King of Angels' names to the outside world. I've mentioned Adam in the real world, Force said with a clear stammer. Shio's nerves were taut as though a venomous snake had crawled into her clothes and was sliding across her back. Cat Leo tearfully acknowledged, no need to worry. Oh, okay, good. No, they're not cooked. Kelly just said no need to worry. No need to worry. Although not many people know of Adam and Amon, there's no lack of them. I mentioned his name on several occasions. Okay, as long as the words you mentioned doesn't involve any secrets, I believe he will only observe you for a moment before casting his gaze elsewhere. Okay, he was probably like, oh, why does she mention Adam? But she, like, okay, if you're just not, okay, we're good. If you're not giving too much on Adam, then he can't really pinpoint it. Because it's not like he's the only Adam in this world. Okay. She was rather certain when saying that because in the most ascetic order they had been pursuing by knowledge, Adam's existence wasn't secret. Yes, people often mention him. At this moment, her mind was filled with another matter. Could it be that the secret ancient organization that Emperor Rizzo joined was the one the King of Angels Adam established? Oh, now they're connecting the thoughts. The dots. Forrest hurriedly tried recalling and said somewhat hesitantly, there was mentions involving the forsaken land of gods, the giant king of Kord, Amon, and king of angels, and other knowledge. Would that be a problem? She was very happy, and she never mentioned the word of the Tarot Club or described the other members. At most, she mentioned the gloomiest was German Sparrow. Okay, so we're chill. Leah thought and said, at your sequence, discussing knowledge at this level is indeed strange. However, if Adam were to delve deeper, he would realize that you're related to the Abraham family. It's quite normal to be aware of this information. Okay, so we're chill. What you need to pay attention to is that any major matters involving the Abraham family will require you to be wary of Adam. How do I be wary of him? Force a helpless smile as she glanced at the seat of honor, like please help me, fool. Force a helpless smile as she glanced at the seat of honor at the long brown sable. Then she looked back at the hermit and said, thank you for your analysis. As Mr. Fool hadn't said anything, she decided to believe Madame Hermit's words. At this moment, Klein said inwardly, back when Katlia mentioned Adam during the tarot gathering, he wasn't aware that Adam's name wasn't to be verbalized, nor that he know that he was related to the Twilight Hermit Order. It was only when he entered Grizel's travels and learned from the ascetic order Snowman about Adam being an angel of imagination that he grasped this point and came up with this theory. There's a lot of recap here, and sometimes I get lost. Okay. After seeing Mr. Door's warning from Emperor Rizzo's diary and gaining preliminary confirmation, he ultimately lacked the opportunity to warn the various members. Furthermore, the way the Archbishop of the Church Steam casually mentioned Adam's name made him believe that many people in the real world knew of Adam and that it wasn't taboo. Furthermore, so it's not strange for her to mention it. Furthermore, Adam might not be his full name, okay? He wasn't in a rush to guide the conversation towards this, but he was waiting for an opportunity. Any mention of it will be known. The organization established by Adam is really impressive, is the target of our Tarot Club is aiming at. As Emlyn reflected over the poignantly, he gained a clear picture of the Tarot Club. He had previously been figuring out a category for the Tarot Club. He realized that it wasn't like an orthodox church, and it was unlikely that the other secret organizations, apart from being a Messiah alliance, there wasn't anything too special. A Messiah alliance. There wasn't anything too special. It muddled his analysis, and today he finally confirmed that the early development of the Tarot Club could match Adam's organization. Knowing 008's trait, Leonard wasn't surprised that Adam had a similar trait. He was more concerned about the organization with many important figures participating, as well as Abraham family, which Madame Hermit had mentioned. He had once heard Palazzaraz mention this family standing in the fourth epoch was very high. Ah, and it was due to the Twilight Hermit Order. That's why their position was so high. All right, awesome. Let's do this. Update our timestamps, and we are good, locked and loaded. So next week, oh my god, I apologize, blasphemy, we'll be reading Problem with Intelligence 963. I missed a message, sent. Remember how Force won't talk about German Sparrow, but she is fully willing to talk about Adam? You know what? That's fucking funny. Is that, well, we can't even mention German. Whoa, but you should know about Adam. Oh, that's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Yeah, you know what? That is pretty funny. Mo, it was because of the ancestors. No. Of the Abraham. Moo? Oh, you guys are talking about. Okay, you guys are talking about Abraham. Mr. Door. Moo. Right back at you guys. Okay. Well, you know what? I think this is definitely the best volume introduction yet. I think volume 2, I liked it because it was like the first tonal change, right? Volume 1 for me was very hard follow because I never read web novels. No, I'm not saying it was hard. It was very hard to me. It was very hard for me getting used to reading like a mysterious story. But you know what? I like it. Oh, and then volume 2, yes, it was good. Volume 3 had my best introduction at that point. Volume 4 stepped it up. But yes, I think volume 5 right now, hands down, is my best introduction yet. We can tell you like it. I know, I fucking love this volume, dude. We finally got the Star and Judgment. Holy shit, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how all these Kings of Angels tie in to the bigger piece of the pie. And you know what? Only 10 will tell. So we're going to leave it there. We're going to do short overall thoughts because I am going to go eat now. It's pretty late. I'm kind of hungry. I've just been snacking in between the video. In between the stream. I'm going to go eat now. I'm going to do a little bit of workout right here in the room. We're going to do some crazy bomb Bulgarian squats and work on our calves and thighs. We can't skip leg day. We'll probably go for a little run. Volume 4 is kind of carried by the finale. You know what? I can see how people have that opinion. Volume 4, they kind of take a while with the whole tycoon part. And I'm not saying the whole tycoon part of Volume 4 was funny. It was bad with him as Dwayne Dantes. Because we had a lot of funny moments, right? We had a lot of funny moments, and I like that. but I did find it cool. Maybe it was a little bit too long, which I know he did mention in his author notes, but I think overall it was a damn good volume. It had the best volume ending, and yes, I could see that, how the whole tycoon lifestyle was a little bit too long. But so far, volume 5 has been a banger. Just like this outro is a banger. Peace. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Not next week. I will see you guys tomorrow around this time plus 30 minutes to an hour. All right, later, guys.